Chapter 751. A group of sea demons moved away the palace. Looks like I have to carefully search this area. It should be because the area they evacuated to is relatively far away. Yi Tianyun was thinking about how to find the sea demon, but no one knew where it had gone. Especially since the sea was too vast, he needed to search carefully before he could find the palace. Although his cultivation was not bad, it was not to the extent of defying the heavens. Even if it was a divine king, he would need to spend some time to find it. However, when one reached the divine king level, whether it was in terms of speed or range of detection, they were much faster than him. Back then, in order to find the hiding place of the demons, they had really turned the entire three realms upside down. Even with their astonishing strength, they had to spend a few months before they were able to search the entire three realms from top to bottom, without leaving a single blind spot. They would not let go of any hiding place. Who would have thought that the demons would not be able to hide, but would leave behind their descendants here? This was the most terrifying place. Since they could not break through, they would leave behind their descendants and slowly nibble away at this place. Therefore, it was time to properly investigate the evil spirit race. However, he thought that they should be in the underworld more often. With the evil spirit race's special cold bloodline, the underworld was the best place for them to live. "Brother, is this your first time here?" Lin Xiang asked. Yi Tianyun's question was immediately exposed. It was truly his first time here, otherwise, he would not have asked such a question. "More or less. I've been here before, but the changes are a little big." Yi Tianyun did not lie. A long time ago, when he came here to hunt demon beasts, the disappearance of the black clouds was largely related to him. "I thought it was your first time here." The changes are indeed not small, but the most important thing is that the black clouds have disappeared. In the past, it was called the Devil Cloud Island, but now, there are no clouds at all. However, because of habit, it is still called the Devil Cloud Island. Even the city built on it is called the Devil Cloud City. Lin Xiang continued to chat at the side. Immediately after, Yi Tianyun roughly asked about the other situations, including the recent situation here. Lin Xiang did not have any doubts and told him the truth. This would save him a lot of time to gather information, and he wouldn't need to go around to gather information. "Big brother, this kid really doesn't know anything. He dares to come here." The companion next to him shook his head. His suspicion of Yi Tianyun was slightly reduced, but there was still some vigilance in his heart. "Kid, let me ask you something. How did you suddenly appear here? Were you thrown into the sea?" His companion couldn't help but ask. "Didn't I just say it? I happened to swim past here and was then pulled up by Big Brother." Yi Tianyun looked at him indifferently and was ready to leave. After gathering the information, it was time to leave. There was no need to go to the Demon Cloud City to gather information. "I didn't expect you to lie to us after we saved you." "Forget it, anyway, we will reach the Demon Cloud City soon. Boss is kind, but we are not so kind. When the time comes, we will go our separate ways. Don't think that we will take you in." This brother obviously did not believe half a word of Yi Tianyun. He felt that these words were too fake. "Qian Lang." Lin Xiang frowned and shouted in a low voice. He felt that his brother was too much. "Humph." Qian Lang coldly snorted and sat on the side without speaking. "This brother, I am really sorry. They have been deceived before, so they are a little vigilant. Please don't mind them." Lin Xiang shook his head. He had not been calm along the way. "It's okay, but I am about to leave." Yi Tianyun was just about to open his mouth and leave when suddenly the sea in front of him surged up, setting off a large wave, followed by a huge demon beast bouncing up from the water. It was 10 feet tall, like a huge giant, waving its huge palm and fiercely slapped the side of the ship. Bang! After a heavy slap, the ship was sent flying. The cultivators on the ship screamed and fell into the sea one after another. Their cultivation was too low, so they couldn't fly at all, so they could only sink into the sea. There were many demon beasts in the sea, waiting for humans to fall into the water, ready to eat them. It's the sky water beast. Lin Xiang was shocked. It appeared less than 20 meters away from them, and they would be affected soon. He hurriedly ordered, quickly row the boat and leave this place. The three of them immediately rowed the boat away from the sky water beast like crazy. Little brother, hurry up and help us row, if we are too slow, we will die. Damn it, why is the sky water beast here? Normally, it won't appear at this time. Lin Xiang was shocked and angry. The sky water beast's cultivation was not low, it was at the core transformation stage. Although its cultivation was not very high, it was more than enough to deal with people like them. Yi Tianyun looked at the sky water beast, squinted his eyes and said, Sky water beast, the level of the monster here is not low, it seems that the changes here are quite big, there is such a high-level monster here, kid, what are you doing? Hurry up and row the boat. Shallow Waves, who was at the side, yelled. He rowed the boat as fast as he could. If he was any slower, he would die. As soon as he finished speaking, the sky water beast noticed them. In this area, there were two boats, one of them was taken away, so they were the only ones left. Roar! The sky water beast roared, raised its hand and slapped down. The huge palm was very fast, wanting to slap them into the water. It's over, we are dead. Lin Xiang and the others were terrified, the attack was aimed at them, how could they escape? Jump off the boat, quickly. We still have a chance to survive, and try to swim until help comes. Lin Xiang quickly calmed down and signaled everyone to jump into the water quickly. If they were hit by the sky water beast, they would be crippled even if they didn't die. No need to jump into the water, you guys stay here, I will deal with it. Yi Tianyun signaled them to stay here, the three of them were stunned, among them, Qian Lang and the others wondered if he was stupid, how could he deal with the sky water beast alone? As soon as his voice fell, Yi Tianyun flicked his finger, and a sound wave hit the heavenly water beast's body, and then it fell down, sinking into the bottom of the water. At the same time, the sound wave spread in all directions, and the sea seemed to be boiling. After a while, many demon beasts floated up from the bottom of the water. Looking carefully, they found that they were all dead, including the sky water beast, which also floated up from the bottom of the water, making the surrounding cultivators stunned. Inexplicably, the terrifying sky water beast died. Chapter 752. Yi Tianyun casually attacked and killed a large number of demon beasts, including the heavenly water beast. However, they didn't seem to have any scars on their surface. They looked very intact and looked no different from usual. The most important thing was that they were still floating towards them as if they were being pulled by some kind of force. Lin Xiang and the others were startled. They thought they were still alive, otherwise, why would they come to them? Big brother, in this kind of environment, it's not easy for you to still have a kind heart. This is my reward for you, take these demon beasts back. Thank you for your answer just now, we will meet again if fate allows it. Yi Tianyun smiled slightly, took a step forward, and disappeared into the northern skyline. Lin Xiang just said that the palace was carried to the north by the sea monsters, so it should be in the northern area. After a while, the cultivators on the side heard Yi Tianyun's words. These demon beasts are the reward for Lin Xiang. Most of the cultivators here knew Lin Xiang, and they all looked at him enviously. This is a strong cultivator. Lin Xiang slowly recovered, but he was still shocked. The cultivation of the heavenly water beast was at least at the third level of core transformation stage, but it was killed by Yi Tianyun with just a flick of his hand. Yi Tianyun just stood there without moving, which meant that his cultivation was much stronger than the heavenly water beast, otherwise, it wouldn't be so terrifying. This is a core transformation stage powerhouse. Qian Lang stuttered, looking at Lin Xiang with eyes full of shock. More than that, I think his cultivation is even higher, such as void spirit stage. It's not that he was ignorant, but he rarely saw cultivators above void spirit stage. He didn't know that Yi Tianyun's cultivation was at the Saint King stage. If he knew that Yi Tianyun was the heavenly cloud's great emperor, he would be even more scared. Void spirit stage. Both of them were shocked, but then cold sweat broke out on their backs. I suspected that he was lying. Did he really swim here, or was he looking for something on the seabed and just happened to come up and let us see him? Qian Lang's back was soaked in cold sweat. Thinking of his disrespect just now, it was fortunate that he was not slapped to death. This kind of thing was really not rare. No one would feel wronged if they offended the dignity of a powerhouse and were killed. That should be correct. However, don't worry. If you were angered, you would already be dead. You wouldn't be here. Lin Xiang shook his head and sighed. He has always been telling the truth. It's just that we are too inexperienced and mistakenly thought that he was lying. Have you learned your lesson this time? They nodded repeatedly to show that they understood. This was too terrifying. After experiencing this kind of thing, they had to learn to see things clearly. I really didn't expect that they would give us such a big gift. This time, we've struck it rich. Hurry up and put these corpses into our spatial rings. The corpses aren't damaged, we can sell them for a high price. Lin Xiang and the rest smiled knowingly. It was good to meet a benefactor. It was a pity that they couldn't make friends with him. Otherwise, it would be better. There was no point in regretting. He could only say that he would learn to be more obedient in the future. At the same time, Yi Tianyun had already flown to the north at an extremely fast speed. Along the way, he explored the depths of the seabed, covering a radius of 50 miles. He didn't miss a single detail. After knowing that it was the north, he could only explore a lot less areas. Hence, information was especially important. If he still couldn't find it, he could only spend a lot of money to buy soul guidance. Although it was very painful, since he couldn't find it, he could only choose to do so. After flying continuously for a day, he still couldn't find any traces of it. This made him very puzzled. One had to know that with his speed, flying for a day was at least a few 100,000 miles. Yet, there wasn't a single trace of it. How could such a huge palace be moved so far? That's strange. Where is it? Yi Tianyun frowned and immediately took out a weapon. At the same time, he activated his luck aura. His luck immediately went through the roof. Come on, please point out a clear path for me to take a look. This method of finding the way wasn't unheard of. It completely relied on luck to point the way. Although the direction pointed was correct, the detailed information obtained was less. Hence, it wasn't usually used this way. Immediately after, he threw out his weapon. After spinning in the air, it landed steadily on the surface of the water in front of him. The direction pointed was still north. There was no change in the direction, which proved that the path was still correct. Looks like I still have to continue on my way. Yi Tianyun shook his head. He could only continue flying. Just as he was about to deactivate his luck aura, a figure suddenly rushed out of the water with a splash and landed directly on him. With his sharp eyes and quick hands, he immediately grabbed it. It felt extremely smooth and even a little soft. When he focused his eyes, he realized that it wasn't an object that had pounced into his arms, but a beautiful young girl. However, this beautiful young girl was half human and half fish. Her blue fishtail was more than a meter long, and she had blue scales all over her body. She looked very beautiful. Especially her beautiful blue eyes, which were full of attraction. At first glance, the most attractive thing about her was her pair of eyes. Then, he saw the rest of her appearance. Blue hair, blue eyes, and blue fishtail. However, the clothes on her body were tightly wrapped, revealing no skin at all. Sea demon. Yi Tianyun was startled. He didn't expect that the luck aura didn't help him at all. Instead, it was the sea demon that came to him. With this sea demon, wouldn't asking for directions be the simplest and most violent way? Ah, human, human. The mermaid wriggled her body, trying to break free from his embrace. Immediately, a huge demonic beast rushed out of the water, opened its huge mouth, and swallowed them. No wonder this mermaid jumped in this direction. It turned out that there was a demonic beast that wanted to eat her. Get lost. Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and flicked his finger. This demonic beast that was at the spirit core stage was killed by him, leaving a corpse floating on the water. Seeing this, the mermaid was immediately shocked. She forgot that she was still lying in the arms of a human. Dead? Dead? The mermaid looked at the demonic beast that had been chasing her for a long time. She couldn't get rid of it no matter how hard she tried. She was killed just like that. Immediately, she turned her head, and when she saw the smile on Yi Tianyun's face, she felt a chill in her heart. Because this smile was as if he was staring at his prey. It was even more terrifying than the demonic beast. I saved you. Shouldn't you repay me? Yi Tianyun looked her up and down and smiled. The mermaid hugged her chest and hurriedly said, You human, don't even think about it. Chapter 753. He had to admit that the mermaid before him was indeed very attractive. Her looks were definitely of the highest quality. However, her fishtail did not arouse his interest at all. Most importantly, he already had Shi Shuayan, so he would not have any thoughts about her. Shi Shuayan was even prettier than her, and more importantly, he had feelings for her. That was more important than anything else. You're thinking too much. Yi Tianyun threw her to the side and let her float in the water. He said in a low voice, Do you think I'm that kind of person? You humans are all like this. You capture us mermaids, play with us, and buy and sell us as you please. The mermaid looked at him warily and said, Grandma told me not to trust humans. But now that I've saved you, is it not reasonable for me to make a request? Didn't your grandma tell you that a mermaid needs to be grateful? Yi Tianyun said casually. This has happened before. The young mermaid frowned, but still nodded her head. Yi Tianyun looked at her and almost laughed. He had just said it casually, but it was really true. This girl looked so innocent, and she even said that her grandma taught her. It's good that you know. Moreover, I won't harm you. Alright, I won't talk to you anymore. I won't capture you. I just need you to tell me something, and we'll call it even, Yi Tianyun said. Really? The mermaid was pleasantly surprised. If that was really the case, she could easily leave. Do you think I'd lie to you? Yi Tianyun smiled slightly. You don't look like a bad person. Those bad people grabbed my sisters and took them away without saying much to me. The mermaid tilted her head and thought about it seriously. Yi Tianyun was instantly amused. What she said was true. Such a beautiful person would definitely have a good market there. Usually, rich families would take them as slaves. They looked beautiful and special, so they could play with them. However, he had no interest in that. She was beautiful, but there was no point in doing that. Alright, what do you want to ask? I'll tell you. The mermaid thought about it seriously and nodded. Very well, you just need to tell me where the sirens moved the huge palace. Do you know? Yi Tianyun asked. The sirens moved the huge palace. The mermaid thought for a while and then exclaimed, You mean the scarlet monsters? They are very cruel. Even we have to avoid them. If we get close, we will be captured. You're not thinking of finding the scarlet monsters, are you? Smart, you're right. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up, he immediately collected detailed information. It seems that they are not of the same race. There were thousands of races. Not to mention those in the sea, there were also many races on land. But relatively speaking, the human race was the majority, so other races were relatively rare. Besides, it wasn't a big deal even if they met. Now that they were coexisting together, as long as there wasn't any conflict, there wouldn't be any problems. But it's very dangerous there. Don't go. They have a sea demon king who is very powerful. He often captures the surrounding races and humans. I don't know what he's doing. Anyone who gets close to his territory will be captured. The mermaid was concerned for him. Tianyun rubbed his chin and smiled. It's okay. I'm going to find them. Didn't they move the palace? Do you know how they moved it? I'm not sure. I heard that a group of scarlet monsters moved it bit by bit. I don't know the details. Anyone who gets close will be killed. We don't know how they moved it, the mermaid answered honestly. Tianyun nodded thoughtfully. It seemed that they did not know. From this, it could be seen that the scarlet monsters were very arrogant and powerful. It seemed that they were the overlords of this sea. No one dared to go against them. Do you know where they live? Tianyun asked. Do you really want to go? It's too dangerous there. I advise you not to go. Although your cultivation is not bad, if you get close to them, you will definitely die. The mermaid did not forget to advise him. You don't have to worry about that. I want to go to the Scarlet Monster race to retrieve something. You just need to point the way, and I'll forget about saving you. Tianyun waved his hand. This girl was very kind. However, it was impossible for him not to go. No, if you die, I won't be repaying the favor. I'll be harming you. The mermaid was determined not to tell him. Tianyun was so angry that he was about to cry. Fortunately, this girl met him. If she met someone else, she would probably be helping them count the money. I'm definitely going. The Scarlet Monster race has a grudge against me. I'm going to take revenge. Are you going to stop me? Tianyun felt very helpless. If she still could not get an answer, he would use the eyes of enchantment to make her say it. You have a grudge against the Scarlet Monster race? The mermaid was puzzled. You can say that. They took away my things, so it can be said that they have a grudge against me. Tianyun had never seen the Scarlet Monster race before. However, they took away the Ascension Altar, which meant that they had a grudge against him. Moreover, it was a huge grudge. This was something that could repel demons. Of course, it could not be taken away so easily. The mermaid was silent for a while. Then, she said, all right, if you really want to go, I will also go with you. You want to go too? Didn't you say that it's very dangerous? Tianyun was puzzled. Yes, but they also have a grudge against me. They killed my parents. The mermaid's eyes reddened. She gritted her teeth and said, they also captured many of my sisters. I can't wait to kill them all. I see. Then hurry up and bring me there. I will help you take revenge. Tianyun smiled. The mermaid's beautiful eyes were firm. Then, she nodded and said, then come with me. I will bring you to our place. I will bring some things with me and then bring you there. Without me bringing you there, you will definitely not be able to reach the Scarlet Monster race's place easily. Alright, bring me there. Tianyun said. The mermaid nodded and dived into the water. Tianyun followed her. As soon as he dived into the water, the mermaid blew a bubble over his head. This will allow you to breathe. I know that you humans are unable to breathe underwater. The mermaid stretched out her hand and said, hold my hand. In the water, your speed will be very slow. You will not be able to compare to our mermaid race. Tianyun felt the bubble covering his head. He smiled. He had to admit that this little girl was really considerate. Although it was true that one could not breathe underwater, that was only limited to those with low cultivation. For him, living here was not a problem. Chapter 754. What's wrong? The mermaid looked at Tianyun. She felt that it was strange that Tianyun kept looking at her. Nothing, I just think you're quite funny. Are all the mermaids like this? Yi Tianyun had never seen the mermaids before, so he didn't know about their situation. Yes, all the mermaids are like this. Many of us are very nice, and we often help each other. The mermaid smiled, like a beautiful crabapple blooming. It was extremely beautiful. Especially in this dark blue sea, her dark blue hair floated slightly, as if she had blended into the entire sea. She was indeed the darling of the sea. She could easily blend into the water attribute environment, and even control the water's spiritual energy at will. Then I'll have to trouble you to lead the way. Yi Tianyun smiled. But don't worry, I won't lose you. No matter how fast you are, I'll be able to catch up. Really? I don't believe it. In the water, your speed is much slower than ours. The mermaid pouted, not convinced by Yi Tianyun's words. What if I catch up? Looking at her, Yi Tianyun had a feeling that he wanted to play with her. The kinder and more competitive she was, the more he wanted to play with her. If you catch up, I'll treat you to something delicious. The mermaid's beautiful eyes were full of confidence, as if she was saying that Yi Tianyun would never catch up with her. Delicious? You said it yourself. Then you set the rules. How far away do I have to go before I lose? Yi Tianyun asked. 10 feet. As long as the distance is more than 10 feet, you lose. How about that? The mermaid's beautiful eyes flickered, and she began to get excited. 10 feet? No, that's too far. I thought it was 10 feet. You're looking down on me. Let's make it 10 feet. As long as the distance is more than 10 feet, I lose. How about that? Yi Tianyun smiled. 10 feet was more than 30 meters. If he was thrown more than 30 meters, how could he still be a sage king? He might as well kill himself with a piece of tofu. A distance of 3 meters was already considered far. At the very least, it was flying close to the body. You're really competitive. I've always heard that humans are very competitive. You really are. Fine, I'll let you taste the bitterness. The young mermaid's eyes flickered with intelligence. She smiled and said, I hope you can keep up. Let's go. As soon as she finished speaking, the young mermaid immediately turned into a sharp arrow and shot forward at an extremely fast speed. The surrounding water did not pose any resistance to her at all, and she passed through it easily. If it were other cultivators, it would be much more difficult to swim in the water. In the blink of an eye, the mermaid had swum 1,000 feet away. No wonder she was so confident. Her cultivation level is not high, she is only at 4th or 5th level of core condensation, but her swimming speed is much faster than the other cultivators of the same level. At the very least, he was several times faster than Zhang Xian. If the difference in cultivation was too great, it would be impossible for him to catch up. This did not seem to be her maximum speed. One must know that when she was escaping earlier, her speed was much faster than this. Obviously, she was deliberately holding back. She wanted Yi Tianyun to keep up a little bit and not be left behind too much. I'll use a medium speed first. Otherwise, I won't be able to see that person if I'm too far away. The young mermaid thought in her heart. After swimming for a few hundred feet, she turned her head and immediately saw Yi Tianyun's handsome face less than half a meter behind her. She was so scared that she suddenly increased her speed and rushed forward. You're so fast. She did not use her full strength. She thought that she would be able to shake off a small distance, but who knew that he would be right behind her? Didn't I say that if I can't catch up to you, I will lose? I can't exceed this distance. Yi Tianyun smiled and said, Can you go faster? Don't you want to get rid of me? Hurry up. That's what you said. If you can't find me, remember to wait for me here, I will come back to find you. The young mermaid bit her lips. Immediately, her blue eyes flashed with a strong desire to win. Soon after, she turned her head and immediately increased her speed to nearly 5 times her previous speed as she rushed forward. In the blink of an eye, she had already rushed forward thousands of feet. This speed was so fast that even a core transformation stage cultivator could not keep up with her. No wonder she was so confident. If she used her full strength, ordinary core transformation stage cultivators would not be able to keep up. It was basically impossible for ordinary human cultivators to catch them, unless they had a higher cultivation or used special methods to hunt them. This time, she did not look back. Instead, she crazily shuttled forward. The seabed was not flat, but there were many rocks and huge corals that could be used as natural barriers. She rushed all the way to a very long distance in one breath. Even she did not know how far she had swum. She only felt that this was the limit of her escape. Because of her desire to win, she carelessly used all her strength. "It's over, I swam too fast, I don't know where he is." The young mermaid was just about to turn her head to look at the situation when she heard Etienne's voice. "Your speed is not bad, but it's not good enough." Ah, the young mermaid was so scared that she leaned against the corals and looked at Etienne in horror. She stammered, How can you keep up with me? I am at the limit of my speed. Even the strongest human cultivators might not be able to keep up with me." "You are talking about ordinary cultivators, I am not an ordinary cultivator." Etienne smiled. It was not bad to play with her occasionally. It was the same as taking a break. Anyway, they were going to swim all the way. "All right, I've lost." The young mermaid showed a depressed expression. She did not expect Etienne to be so fast. "You admit defeat? Are we not going to continue? Isn't the finish line your house?" "It will be the end when we reach your house." Etienne smiled. "No more. I have used all my strength and you can keep up. What's the point of competing?" The young mermaid pouted. She then wagged her tail and said, "Let's go this way. We will reach my house soon." Etienne smiled. Since she was not going to compete, he would hurry back to her house. After settling his business, he would hurry to the Scarlet Goblin tribe. Along the way, they chatted casually. He learned that the young mermaid's real name was Lan Qingling, and she lived in this part of the sea. However, due to the situation of the Scarlet Goblin tribe, they often changed their residence. Otherwise, they would be captured. Chapter 755. My house is in front. Stay here for the time being. Remember to hide and not let our clansmen see you. Otherwise, they will definitely attack you. Lan Qingling reminded him, indicating that he should not run around, otherwise, it would cause a lot of trouble. This was for sure. When Lan Qingling first saw him, she was filled with hostility, let alone other clans. Lan Qingling's attitude was considered good. It should be said that if he had not saved Lan Qingling, she would have already turned around and run. Why would she even talk to him? No problem. As long as I hide, no one will be able to find me. Etienne was not bragging. With his strong cultivation, unless there was an opponent stronger than him, it would be really difficult to find him. "All right, I'll go back first. I'll come back after I get something." Lan Qingling nodded at him and quickly swam forward. After passing through several places, the place she dived into was the huge sea whale in front of them. She entered through the breathing hole at the top of the sea whale. She did not expect that the place where the merfolk lived was a symbiotic relationship with the sea whale. However, this was not unexpected. The sea whale was huge, but its combat power was relatively limited. It was just a huge meat shield. Therefore, in the case of insufficient combat power, it was much more difficult to resist the hunting of other monsters. For this reason, the sea whale had to rely on the symbiotic relationship of other clans in order to play a supporting role. The merfolk were the main attacking force, and the sea whale provided shelter and defense. It was that simple. Especially the sea whale, it was indeed huge. It was hundreds of feet long, enough to accommodate thousands of people. In the case of the Scarlet Demon clan hunting, it was quite easy to hide. This place was relatively remote, surrounded by mountains, and there was a lot of seaweed floating around, acting as a barrier. The depth of the water here was astonishing. It could be said to be very deep. With his appraisal eye, if he did not continue to go deeper, he would not be able to find this place. Merfolk, huh? Interesting, Yi Tianyun observed the situation around. There were strong merfolk patrolling the side with weapons. They were very vigilant. When Lan Qingling went over, they all nodded and bowed to her. It seemed that their status was very high. However, they did not speak. He did not know what their title was, but it seemed that their status was definitely not low. After a while, there was nothing left to see. It was just like that. Apart from the mermaids, there was also a huge whale. This whale's cultivation level was not low, it was at the peak of core transformation stage, it could be regarded as a strong meat shield. According to his judgment, without the cultivation of void spirit stage, it would be difficult to injure this sea whale. The defense was simply too thick. Ordinary attacks would not be able to penetrate it. I wonder what they are taking so long. Yi Tianyun lay on the water plants. He felt that he had been waiting for a long time. He had been here for 2 hours. This was no longer taking things, they were probably discussing something inside. He could only continue to wait here for a while. The place where the merfolk lived was already so hidden, he believed that the Scarlet Demon clan's place was even more hidden. Without Lan Qingling leading the way, he was afraid that he would not be able to reach it. While he continued to wait here, suddenly there was a little movement in front of him. Many mermaids drilled into the body of the sea whale, and then the sea whale began to swim. From the looks of it, it was obvious that they were preparing to leave this place. Perhaps they were preparing for something to happen. What's going on? Did they find something? Half an hour ago, he saw a mermaid swimming in this direction. After drilled into the body, half an hour later, it began to leave. Obviously, it had found something and was now preparing to move to another place. But if that was the case, how could Lan Qingling lead the way? Just when he was about to search inside the sea whale, Lan Qingling swam out of the sea whale and swam towards him. Yi Tianyun immediately showed himself so that she would not see him. Big brother Yi, big brother Yi. She shouted nearby. What's the situation? Yi Tianyun appeared in front of her and asked. Great, hurry up and come with me, the Scarlet Demon clan is chasing us, we need to retreat quickly. Before she finished speaking, she grabbed Yi Tianyun's hand and swam towards the sea whale. In the blink of an eye, she arrived above the sea whale and swam towards the entrance. Wait, aren't you worried that I will be seen by the people of the Scarlet Demon clan? If you take me to hide in there, won't we be discovered? Yi Tianyun was puzzled. If I don't take you with me, you will definitely be discovered by the Scarlet Demon clan. At that time, you will die here. Lan Qingling quickly brought him into the passage. Soon, he entered a space. There was not a single drop of water in it, it was completely emptied. Just as he was brought in, a respectful voice came from the front, Princess, where have you been? In a while, the Scarlet Demon clan will be here, you still want to go out now. Human. The guards in front immediately became vigilant, one after another, they raised the weapons in their hands and pointed in this direction, their eyes were full of vigilance. Yi Tianyun looked up and saw that all the people here were guards. The man with the highest cultivation was in front of him, he had reached the 5th level of core transformation stage. Looking at the situation of the surrounding guards, he should be at the level of elder. But there was one thing that was not wrong, Lan Qingling was really at the level of a princess. Whether it was her beauty or talent, they were all first class, so it was not surprising that she was a princess. Grandpa Bo, don't worry, he is not a bad person, he saved me. Lan Qingling stood in front of Yi Tianyun, signaling them not to be nervous. Saved you? Grandpa Bo looked at her doubtfully, and then immediately said anxiously, no matter whether he saved you or not, come here first. Lan Qingling believed in Yi Tianyun, but it did not mean that they believed in Yi Tianyun. In the situation of different races, it was really impossible to trust each other. Especially when it was the first time they met, how could they trust each other? No, I have to make it clear, lest you think he is a bad person. Immediately, Lan Qingling explained the general situation clearly, including the situation of Yi Tianyun going to the Scarlet Demon clan's territory. So that's what happened. Don't worry, since he saved the princess, it is equivalent to the mermaid clan being indebted to him, we will not hurt him. Although Grandpa Bo said so, he did not lower his vigilance. It was not easy to lower their vigilance, unless they continued to understand more. Moreover, they all knew Lan Qingling's character, she was too kind, she might be deceived. Okay, big brother Yi, let's go. Lan Qingling smiled and led him forward. Chapter 756. Friend, thank you for saving the princess. Please forgive me for my rudeness just now. Elder Bo sized up Yi Tianyun, trying to figure out something from him. Unfortunately, he couldn't see anything, not even his cultivation. Yi Tianyun's cultivation was so much higher than his. It would be a miracle if he could see anything. It's fine. I just don't know why you went out alone when it's so dangerous outside. I forgot to ask. As a princess, you went out alone. Yi Tianyun shook his head. He didn't even ask why Lan Qingling would go out alone and get chased by a powerful monster. I'll go look for the water jade grass to treat Grandma's injuries. Lan Qingling had just said that when Elder Bo glared at her. It's our fault. If not for you, we would be in big trouble. Elder Bo glared at Lan Qingling and said, the situation is even more urgent now. The Scarlet Demon race is chasing us. If they catch up, we'll be in trouble. At this time, Yi Tianyun could already feel the whale swimming deep into the sea at a shocking speed. He didn't know where it was going to hide. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes at Elder Bo. He interrupted so quickly to change the topic so that he didn't know about Lan Qingling's grandma's injuries. Since Lan Qingling was a princess, then her grandma should be the Mermaid King, an existence that ruled over this place. The Mermaid King definitely wouldn't say that she was injured. If the strongest person was injured, there would definitely be a loophole. To put it bluntly, Elder Bo was afraid that Yi Tianyun would spread the news. If the mermaid race was attacked, it would be troublesome. Lan Qingling didn't think too much about it. She revealed a depressed expression. I just wanted to do something to help Grandma. Grandma is injured. If she doesn't get better soon, it'll be troublesome. Her eyes were red and she looked very sad. Elder Bo was extremely embarrassed. This princess of his was too innocent. He had already changed the topic, but Lan Qingling still changed it back. Seeing this, Yi Tianyun could not help but smile. It wasn't that Lan Qingling was too naive. Rather, it was because her impression of him had reached 150 points. This meant that she had a lot of trust in him. She didn't trust him at first, but she slowly started to trust him. However, it was not wrong that she was naive. She trusted others easily. Your grandma is injured. Yi Tianyun looked at her and asked. He had already heard it earlier, and now that Elder Bo couldn't avoid it even if he wanted to, he could only let her speak. Yes, they're all from the Scarlet Fiend clan. If it weren't for them, Grandma wouldn't have been injured. Now that he was injured and resting, he needed the water jade grass to heal his injuries. But I searched outside for a long time and still couldn't find the water jade grass. Lan Qingling sighed, even now, we still haven't found the water jade grass, and the Scarlet Demon tribe is attacking, so the reason she went out alone was to find the water jade grass. The water jade grass was a 4th grade spirit medicine, and it wasn't that easy to find. It could be considered as a unique spirit medicine that grew in the water. After this friend leaves, please don't tell anyone about this. I'm afraid of attracting unnecessary trouble. Elder Bo sighed and could only tell the truth. Rest assured, Elder Bo. I won't tell anyone about this. Yi Tianyun found it funny. It must have been tough on them. It's good as long as you don't tell anyone. Elder Bo nodded his head, feeling a little more convinced in his heart. Now that you're hiding from the Scarlet Demon tribe, you should be able to escape easily. Once everything stabilizes, you should leave. I believe you know the situation here. It's dangerous to continue staying here. Elder Bo had the intention of chasing them away, but he was also trying to persuade them. They really weren't that safe. Don't worry about that. Actually, you guys don't have to run. I can still deal with the Scarlet Demon tribe. Yi Tianyun said calmly. This. Elder Bo and the rest froze up. This tone was really arrogant. Even they couldn't deal with them, and this brat who popped out of nowhere said that he could. Princess, is this human you brought back a scammer? Why is he spouting nonsense after just arriving here? At this moment, a young man stood out and stood between him and Lan Qingling, looking at him with a vigilant face. Yi Tianyun looked at the young man who had walked out. From the moment he came in, he had been staring at him with malicious intent. Even though he knew that he had saved Lan Qingling, he still chose not to believe him. Little fatty hi, what are you doing? Lan Qingling frowned and said, Big Brother Yi is not a scammer. He really saved me and helped me kill that dragon sea beast. If not for Big Brother Yi, I might have been injured. She stood in front of Yi Tianyun again, blocking little fatty hi from speaking. However, this name was a little interesting. This little fatty hi wasn't fat at all. He looked rather skinny and weak, but he was called Little Fatty. Who knew how he was fat? So what if he defeated the sea dragon sea beast? But he said that he could deal with the Scarlet Demon tribe. Isn't that full of nonsense? Even the Empress couldn't deal with them, but he said that he could. What a boast. Little Fatty Hai stared at Yi Tianyun and said, You humans always like to boast, wanting to show off your strength. Who knew that when you meet with danger, you would escape faster than anyone else? This guy was going tit for tat right from the start, and his words were quite fierce. But if one listened carefully, it was indeed true. There were a lot of boasting on their side, but Yi Tianyun wouldn't. Do you like the princess? Yi Tianyun didn't get angry and asked instead. Everyone thought that Yi Tianyun would retort, but who knew that he would say something like this? Little Fatty Hai was immediately dumbfounded and his face turned red. Obviously, he had been seen through, and he looked like he was about to explode. You are talking nonsense. I didn't. Little Fatty Hai took 2 steps back and glanced at Lan Qingling, stuttering. Even Elder Bo and the others could see through his actions. Lan Qingling said innocently, Little Fatty Hai, do you like me? But I don't like you. Kaboom. Like a bolt from the blue, Little Fatty Hai's face turned pale. Such a simple and crude rejection, without even thinking for half a second. Yi Tianyun almost spat out his saliva. You like me, but I don't like you. These words were quite impactful, and she said it in front of so many people. One could not help but say that Lan Qingling had a screw loose in her head. I'm leaving. Little Fatty Hai turned his head and ran away, covering his face. He didn't dare to stay here any longer. Cough cough, Princess Lan, that's quite a blow to my confidence. Yi Tianyun said. Blow to my confidence? How so? Lan Qingling blinked her innocent eyes, causing many people to smile bitterly. Chapter 757. Brother Yi, you know how to heal. But how do you heal without the water jade grass? Lankingling asked. Sometimes, you don't need the water jade grass to heal. Yi Tianyun's words were full of confidence. For others, they would need the assistance of the water jade grass to heal. But for Yi Tianyun, he didn't need it. He could easily heal with just his spiritual power. Really? Then, hurry up and come with me to heal Grandma. Lankingling was terrifyingly naive. She immediately believed Yi Tianyun's words and pulled him towards the Mermaid King. Princess, wait. Elder Bo hurriedly blocked in front of them. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why did his princess believe everything this young man said? It was easy to be fooled. Elder Bo, what's wrong? Big brother Yi can heal grandma, we have to hurry up and bring him to heal. Lan Qingling was puzzled. We have to ask carefully. Elder Bo didn't really believe it. He stared at Yi Tianyun and said, "Are you sure you can heal our queen? You haven't even seen what kind of injury it is. How do you know you can heal it?" He was starting to think that Yi Tianyun was bragging. He might even be a traitor. He had been full of lies from the beginning, which made his impression on him drop. First, he said he could deal with the Scarlet Demon race. Then, he said he could heal injuries. It could be said that he could solve any problem. If I say there's no problem, then there's no problem. I never speak nonsense. Yi Tianyun said indifferently, usually, water jade grass is needed only to injure the muscles and bones, and it's the kind that's very deep. I'm guessing that there was some kind of fierce attack that caused a lot of bones to be shattered. When you mermaid race use this thing, I think the focus should be on the tail. I'm afraid the vertebrae inside have been shattered. How do you know? Elder Bo and the others were shocked. Yi Tianyun really guessed it right. It's not difficult to deduce it. This kind of injury requires water jade grass to recover quickly. But for me, I don't need water jade grass to help your empress heal. Yi Tianyun said. It wasn't difficult to guess it, especially when he used the water jade grass. He immediately figured it out. Even if the Mermaid King's cultivation was above the Void Spirit stage, or even the Spirit King stage, she wouldn't be able to recover immediately. He guessed that the Mermaid King here was at most at the Void Spirit stage, and it would take a long time for her to recover. He could imagine that the fish's tail had been shattered, almost like a broken leg. Elder Bo and the rest frowned and remained silent. They didn't know if they should believe him. If he brought Yi Tianyun along, and if he really harbored ill intentions, wouldn't that be harming the empress? Grandpa Bo, Big Brother Yi has already said that he can be treated, hurry up and get treated. I saw that Grandma was in a lot of pain just now. She needs to heal quickly. Lan Qingling said. Is it really good to trust an outsider so unconditionally? Princess, why do you trust a human so much? You should know that many of our mermaids have been captured by the human race. If he has evil intentions towards the Empress, wouldn't he be harming the Empress? Princess, you have to think about it carefully. Don't just trust the words of others. At this time, a guard on the side couldn't help but say. Their hostility still hasn't lessened, and it can't be alleviated with just a few words. Why do I trust him? Lan Qingling thought for a moment and said. Because I can feel that Big Brother Yi is telling the truth, that's why I believe him. They shook their heads and smiled bitterly. What kind of reason is this? Can she hear the truth from someone's words? Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. This kind of ability isn't impossible. Some people can tell whether someone is telling the truth or not. Maybe Lan Qingling has this ability. Princess Lan, it seems that you are the only one who trusts me. Yi Tianyun reached out and rubbed her little head. Princess, don't mess around. Without water jade grass, it will be difficult to heal. Elder Bo chose not to believe in the end. No matter what Yi Tianyun said, it was useless. Lan Qingling immediately put on a straight face and looked at him. Grandpa Bo, I am now the next empress. I order you to step aside and let us heal Grandma. I believe Big Brother Yi, I believe that he will not lie to me, and I can tell that he is telling the truth. She suddenly changed and her aura suddenly rose. She really has the demeanor of an empress. Their expressions stiffened. They didn't expect Lan Qingling to use her identity as the next empress to pressure them. Then. In the end, Elder Bo could only agree. This is not a problem, but one thing must be clear. If you dare to do anything, the mermaids will hunt you down no matter where you go. Let's not talk about you for now. Do you think that your empress can't sense that something is wrong? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. To be honest, there is nothing in the mermaids that I am interested in. If it wasn't for your princess, I wouldn't even bother to make a move. They were startled and resentment rose in their hearts, but they still chose to lead the way. Since Lan Qingling had already said so, they could only lead the way. Soon, under their lead, they came to a room that was deeper inside. In this sea whale, they had even built a simple room. However, this would not affect the situation of the sea whale. They had built the rooms in a more reasonable area. We're here. Lan Qingling pulled open the crystal bead curtain and led Yi Tianyun inside. Elder Bo and the guards hurriedly followed, keeping a close eye on Yi Tianyun's actions. As soon as they entered, Yi Tianyun felt a cold chill enveloping the area. Grandma, I've brought someone to heal you. Lan Qingling hurriedly walked in and came to the huge shell in front of them. Yi Tianyun looked up and saw a stunning beauty lying on the huge shell. At most, she was less than 30 years old. It turned out to be his grandma. Her cultivation was just as he had guessed, Void Spirit Stage Level 8, which was not bad. However, her aura was weak and her fishtail was frozen in ice. Vaguely, one could see that the scales inside were broken. Blood dyed the ice red. Obviously, she was using ice to suppress her injuries. Human. When the Empress saw Yi Tianyun, her killing intent immediately surged. She instantly locked on to Yi Tianyun. Even if she was injured, she would not show any weakness. Grandma, he is not a bad person. He saved my life. Lan Qingling roughly explained the situation. At this time, the Empress' killing intent gradually subsided, but her eyes were still full of doubts. You mean, I don't need the water jade grass to heal? The Empress was puzzled. Chapter 758. What? You don't even need to touch me and you can heal me? The Empress said in disbelief, you don't need the water jade grass or touch me, and you can heal me? Human brat, do you know how serious my injuries are now? Of course I know. Your tailbone is basically shattered, and the power of fire has invaded your body. Using this profound frost ice to wrap your tail, other than relieving the pain, the most important thing is to suppress the evil fire. Yi Tianyun could tell at a glance that nothing could escape his eyes. The Empress looked at him and said after a while, that's quite accurate, but I don't know how effective it will be. You can heal me without touching me? Is that really possible? It's possible. In theory, the effect will definitely be better if I touch you, but I believe that no one will believe me now that they have seen the situation. Yi Tianyun said indifferently, so if anything goes wrong, I guess the spear in my hand will immediately stab me. He glanced at the many guards beside him who were holding their spears tightly, as if they were going to stab him at any time. Grandma, Big Brother Yi will not hurt you. I believe in his words. Lan Qingling said honestly. Green Spirit, you trust the words of others too much, the Empress said as she reached out and tapped her forehead. No, I can tell if it's the truth or not. Grandma, you don't even believe me. When have you ever seen me being lied to? Lan Qingling pouted and said unhappily. That's true, but you haven't been out much. The Empress shook her head and looked at Yi Tianyun and said, if you can heal me, the mermaid race is willing to apologize and treat you as an honored guest, a good friend forever. Some things are a bit rude, but I believe you should know what is going on. The Empress did not point it out, but Yi Tianyun certainly knew what was going on. The human race often caught mermaids, and when they saw them, they did not need to explain anything and immediately killed them. If it weren't for Lan Qingling, they would have already started fighting. They could be said to be mortal enemies, so how could they possibly talk nicely? There's no need for that. I just feel like I'm fated to meet the Blue Princess. I just want to go to the Scarlet Beasts to retrieve something. Everything else has nothing to do with me. Yi Tianyun smiled and said, if you don't have any questions, can we begin? To the Scarlet Demon Tribe. The Empress seemed to have caught onto something, but she didn't go too deep. Instead, she said, very well, we can start now. You can get closer. There's no need. I'll just do it here. If you think it's really effective, then let me treat it further. Immediately, Yi Tianyun equipped the longevity necklace. His recovery rate instantly multiplied. He didn't need any elixirs to heal himself. The Immortal Series equipment was the reason why he could heal himself. After equipping it, not only would it have amazing recovery effects, but it would also have no problem healing the wounds of others. It could be said that he had instantly become a healer, able to heal the people around him at any time. After wearing the longevity necklace, it immediately released a dense life force that spread out into the surroundings. Such a rich life force, they thought that it was a spirit herb in front of them, but when they looked carefully, they found that it was actually Yi Tianyun. Let's start. Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and flicked his finger. A green spiritual power flowed and quickly penetrated into her body. With an amazing recovery speed, it began to heal her internal injuries. This speed was quite amazing. Combined with the power of a Saint King stage, how could the healing speed not be fast? Under the amazing recovery speed, the Empress could really feel the injuries in her body quickly recovering. Not only that, the evil fire in her body was quickly extinguished. It was much stronger than the profound cold ice. Without the evil fire burning in her body, she immediately felt a lot better. You can come up, I'll help you heal. The hostility in the Empress' eyes had basically disappeared. She had already confirmed that Yi Tianyun could help her heal. Healing from afar was still too slow. This. Elder Bo and the others were shocked. They didn't expect it to really work. Even the Empress had acknowledged it, which meant that the recovery speed was amazing. I said that Big Brother Yi can definitely heal, I can hear it. Lan Qingling tapped her ear and smiled. You guys didn't believe me even if I told you. You were so long-winded outside for so long. Elder Bo and the others were embarrassed. Wasn't this just a precaution? They didn't expect that the princess would slap their faces so crazily that their faces were almost swollen. Yi Tianyun smiled and walked in front of the Empress. Sorry for my lack of manners. He reached out and touched the profound cold ice. With a bang, the profound cold ice was shattered into powder, and a horribly injured fishtail appeared in front of them. When Lan Qingling saw the injury, the smile on her face disappeared. Her eyes turned red and tears rolled in her eyes. What are you crying for? Look at your big brother Yi. Yi Tianyun smiled and reached out to cover the Empress's fishtail. The Empress's pretty face turned red. She didn't expect that her fishtail would be caught by a human. However, in order to heal, the situation was urgent and she had to compromise. Yi Tianyun didn't think too much and immediately activated the longevity necklace to heal. Soon, the fish scales that were in a terrible state began to heal rapidly. The blood that kept flowing out stopped and flesh even began to grow back. This kind of recovery speed was really amazing. Everyone was stunned. They had used a lot of elixirs to heal, but the recovery effect was very limited. Now, it was not even as effective as the spiritual energy released by Yi Tianyun. In fact, Yi Tianyun was still not very satisfied. If he could gather a set of longevity necklace, the healing effect would definitely be better. He still had 2 chances at the lottery. If he could get one, the healing effect would definitely be even more amazing. Lottery. Yi Tianyun wanted to take this opportunity to draw the lottery. After all, healing did not require much energy. Soon, the huge lottery wheel began to spin and the people around couldn't see it. He looked at the lottery wheel, squinted his eyes and said, "Give me the accessory category." With the help of the powerful luck aura, he did not get the accessory category but the equipment category. Alright, the equipment category, ding dong. After opening the box, what appeared in the inventory was primordial godly armor. He didn't expect to get the primordial set. A set of 4 accessories could produce the set effect, but to make the effect complete, he still needed the primordial godly armor and the primordial boots. He didn't expect to get the primordial godly armor. This round was not a loss at all. Again. Although the primordial godly armor was not bad, his evil spirit set was also amazing. What he needed now was the longevity series, which could enhance the healing effect. He could also use it in the future. Chapter 759. The second lottery spun crazily again. With the help of super luck and the infinite magnification of the lucky aura, the effect was immediately shown. As Yi Tianyun prayed in his heart, the pointer slowly stopped at the jewelry column, and it didn't exceed his expectation. Just as he expected, with the huge increase in his luck, it was not surprising to get this accessory. The key was what it could produce. That was the key. It must be the longevity set. Yi Tianyun prayed in his heart. This was what he needed the most right now. If there was a set, he would definitely gather all of it. Especially this kind of good accessory. After gathering all of it and using it together, the effect would be equally amazing. When used together with the evil spirit set, its combat power would also be off the charts. Ding dong. After opening the wooden box, an emerald green ring appeared in front of him, longevity ring. It's really the longevity set. Yi Tianyun was so excited that even his breathing changed. The treatment stopped for a moment. This caused the queen to be puzzled. She looked at Yi Tianyun and asked, "What's going on? Could it be that the exhaustion is too much and you need to rest?" Everyone else stared at this side. They could see that their queen's body was constantly recovering. Based on this situation, it would not take many days for her to recover. She did not need any water jade grass at all. As long as Yi Tianyun helped with the treatment, it would be fine. We have some good recovery pills here. I can give them to you." Elder Bo quickly took out the recovery pills. They did not have water jade grass, but they had a lot of recovery pills. To be able to see Yi Tianyun's treatment, other than gratitude, he felt even more guilty. Fortunately, Lan Qingling fought for it. Otherwise, after Yi Tianyun left, they would have to slowly search for water jade grass again, which would waste a lot of time. There's no need for that. I just need to adjust my breathing. I'll be fine in a while. Yi Tianyun smiled in his heart. He would definitely not say that he was excited. How could he not be excited to get a set? However, it was all thanks to the 3,000 luck. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to get it. This was just like the previous few times when he got the experience card. It was not a loss, but at least it was not what he needed. "Big brother Yi, do you want to take a break?" Lan Qingling asked worriedly. "Don't worry, I can do it." Yi Tianyun nodded. However, this action immediately won them a favorable impression. Not only did they not feel repulsed by them, they even insisted on treating them. This behavior made Elder Bo and the others feel even more guilty. Yi Tianyun ignored what they were thinking. He put on the longevity ring and its effects immediately soared. Longevity ring increases healing power by 5 times and defense by 20 times. Gather 2 rings and you can use absolute defense. The effects of the longevity ring were simple and brutal. Like before, it increased the user's healing power to an astonishing degree. Additionally, it also increased the user's defensive power to an astonishing degree. As expected of a set that increased the healing and defense to the extreme. Once the set was completed, it would be a truly invincible meat shield. If he couldn't beat them, he could exhaust them to death. If he could fight and tank, he wouldn't be afraid of anyone. After putting it on, he immediately immersed himself in healing. This time, the healing speed was increased by 5 times, and his speed suddenly shot up. Compared to before, it was a lot faster, and they were all stunned. Especially the rich life force, which made them think that Yi Tianyun was the incarnation of the spirit grass. Otherwise, how could he have such a rich life force? This healing speed is too fast. The queen and the others were all stunned, especially the queen. She could feel her pain slowly disappearing, and there was no longer the intense pain from before. According to this situation, it would take at most 1 or 2 days for him to completely recover. The effects of pills were not as amazing as this. Of course, in reality, the effects of pills were even more amazing, provided that they were high-grade pills, especially those that were above the 5th or 6th refinement level. The effects of Yi Tianyun's treatment were amazing. The longevity set was not bad, but there were only 2 of them. If they were gathered together, it would be comparable to a decent pill. But compared to a top-notch pill, it was still far from it. Just when they thought that the situation could continue, a guard suddenly rushed in from outside and said anxiously, "Not good, not good. What's the situation? Can't you see that I'm healing?" Elder Bo was furious. If it affected Yi Tianyun's healing, it would be troublesome. But the situation is urgent now. The Scarlet Demon tribe has already caught up and climbed onto the back of the sea whale. Now that the sea whale is being attacked, if this continues, they will barge in. The guard said anxiously. What? Elder Bo and the queen were shocked. The sea whale is so fast, how can they catch up? And our escape route is very hidden, they should not know. Yes, it's the Scarlet Demon tribe's cloud-chasing demon master. He can easily lock onto our sea whale. The guard explained. Cloud-chasing demon master. Why did they send him? The queen hurriedly sat up, but it did not affect Yi Tianyun's healing. He continued to heal while listening to their conversation. Cloud-chasing demon master, it's over. He injured the queen before. Looks like he will definitely stop us here this time. Elder Bo's eyes were cold. Looks like that's the case. We can only defend with all our strength. The queen stood up, looked at Yi Tianyun and said, "Thank you, friend, for helping me heal. You are a lifetime friend of the mermaid tribe. But the situation is urgent now. Take Lan, and leave here, or it will be too late." Clearly, the situation was very serious, or else the queen would not have gone into battle with injuries. But Lan Qingling refused to leave. Go, take Water Jade Pearl and leave. Lan, you are the future hope of the mermaid tribe, you cannot stay here. The queen said sternly, looking at Lan Qingling with determination. Lan Qingling bit her lips, grabbed Yi Tianyun and ran to the back of the bedroom, not wanting to stay here any longer. This human is very reliable, but it's a pity that we can't repay him. The queen shook her head and quickly led them outside. Yeah, it's a pity that I finally got to know a human that I can trust. Elder Bo shook his head and sighed. I still wanted to apologize to him, but I'm afraid I can't now. I hope we can survive this battle. He let out a carefree smile, ready for a battle, but this time, it would probably be a battle of life and death. At the same time, after Lan Qingling dragged Yi Tianyun into the room, through a long passage, they soon arrived at an empty room. Floating in the room was a blue jade pearl the size of a fist, emitting a faint blue light. One look and anyone could tell that it was not an ordinary item. Chapter 760. Yi Tianyun knew that they must have some kind of treasure that they didn't want to be snatched away by the Scarlet Demon clan. He thought that it would be good enough to have a low-grade or mid-grade divine artifact. Who knew that it turned out to be a divine artifact? Furthermore, it was a middle-grade divine artifact. It was truly blinding. Middle-grade divine artifacts were quite rare, it could even be described as rare. He now had a lot of divine artifacts, but they were all low-grade divine artifacts. Very few of them were mid-grade divine artifacts. For example, the Star Divine Artifact in the Heaven Realm was only a mid-grade divine artifact after accumulating 10 of them. It was really shocking that the Water Jade Bead in front of him was actually a mid-grade divine artifact. Water Jade Bead, middle-grade divine artifact. It has the effect of controlling extreme cold and can mobilize the power of all water bodies for its own use. Worn on the body, it can increase the cultivation speed of experts with water attribute physique by 5 times. When necessary, it can be turned into an extreme water shield that can withstand the fierce attack of the enemy. It was a very powerful mid-grade divine artifact. As expected of a mid-grade divine artifact, it still had many effects. Especially the ability to increase the speed of cultivation, which was already very amazing. At least for ordinary cultivators, it was really a desirable divine artifact. In addition, the other effects were also very amazing. However, this thing was of little significance to him. Although the speed of cultivation was very good, he had a similar treasure a long time ago. It was just that he didn't use it. He had never cultivated much, so it would be a waste to give it to him. He was not a person who was willing to stay in the cultivation room and do a good closed-door cultivation. He would rather go out and kill monsters than stay in the cultivation room to cultivate. Unless there were countless pills in the cultivation room, or extremely amazing spiritual power, he was not willing to stay here. The point was that the mermaid clan had such a treasure, which was really unexpected. From this point, he could feel that the Scarlet Demon clan also had an amazing divine artifact. Otherwise, how could they move the Heaven Ascension divine altar? But how could they have such an amazing treasure? He carefully searched through his memory and really learned a little about the situation in the mortal world from the memory given to him by the King of the Heavens. The heaven-creating divine king was not the only one in the mortal world who resisted the demons. There were also many powerful races who resisted together. After all, if they did not resist, only death awaited them. Among them, the mermaid tribe was the most courageous and skillful in battle. The Empress wielded the water jade bead and attacked the demons in a frenzy. Who would have thought that the mermaid race would be considered a hero at that time, but as time passed, they slowly declined. At that time, they had suffered heavy losses as well, so it was not surprising that they had declined. Fortunately, the water jade bead was still around. The heaven-creating divine king gave him a lot of memories, and he couldn't finish reading them in a short time, so he only took out some of the more important information. Since he came to the mortal world, he hadn't seen much of them. Who knew that the mermaid clan was a meritorious minister and had a good relationship with the heaven-creating divine king? The water jade bead was personally forged by the heaven-creating divine king, but thanks to the many materials provided by the mermaid clan, otherwise, the heaven-creating divine king would not be able to forge it. However, the water jade bead was not very effective in their hands. The reason was very simple. Their cultivation was too low. How could it be that easy to mobilize the power of a medium-grade god tool? At the very least, one would need to be at the level of a Saint King to be able to mobilize most of its power. At that time, they would basically be able to walk unhindered in the mortal world, but the cultivation of the Saint King stage would be limited here. Before they reached the Saint King stage, they would have to go to the ghost world or the heaven world. I didn't expect there to be such a relationship. It seems that I have to take some time to carefully study the situation in this regard. How many heroes are there in the mortal world? We must unite. Yi Tianyin's eyes flickered. At this time, Lan Qingling had already come to the water jade bead and took it, but she did not put it away herself. Instead, she quickly came to his side and stuffed the water jade bead into his hand. Big brother Yi, take this water jade bead and run away quickly. I have to go back and support Grandma. Lan Qingling's eyes were shining and full of determination. At this critical moment, she was not afraid at all. In fact, it could even be said that she was brave. He was stunned. He didn't expect that Lan Qingling would give him the water jade bead and he was going to fight. He had just met her not long ago, and she gave him a medium-grade god tool just like that. She trusted him a little too much. Didn't your grandma tell you to take this treasure and leave? If you go back like this, won't it make your grandma angry? Yi Tianyun was sure that he could save the mermaid clan, but he wanted to see Lan Qingling's choice. Yes, I chose to abandon my parents and leave. This time, I don't want to run away again. Lan Qingling's eyes were red. Yi Tianyun could see a lot of thoughts in her blue eyes. But what about this water jade bead? Yi Tianyun asked. We are not the only mermaid clan. They are spread all over the sea. Big brother Yi, if you can find other mermaid clan members, you can give this to them. Lan Qingling pushed Yi Tianyun away and said, let's go. I know Big Brother Yi is strong, but this time we are facing Demon Master Cloud, who is much stronger than Grandma. If we can get through this, I will definitely treat Big Brother Yi well. But now, I am afraid I can't. Escape from there, everything depends on you. Goodbye. Lan Qingling turned around and left. Her hurried figure was full of determination. In other words, her behavior was too stupid. It meant that her grandma's sacrifice might be in vain. But from another point of view, living and dying together could reflect some people's dignity. Silly girl, are the mermaid clan so fearless of death? Yi Tianyun thought of the memory given to him by the King of the Heavens. In the past, the mermaid clan fought bravely against the enemies, and they were not afraid of any demons at all. Other than the heaven-creating divine king, the mermaid clan killed the most enemies. How could Yi Tianyun not help them? At the same time, the queen and the others had arrived at the exit of the Sea Whale Island. A devilish voice sounded from the exit, My Empress, where do you think you're going? Demon Master Cloud. The queen and the others looked at the figure in front of them and their faces suddenly sank. In front of them was the Scarlet Demon Clan. His whole body was red, and his body had the characteristics of fish scales and gills. But the most shocking thing was that he had 4 arms, which was obviously the characteristic of the Evil Spirit Clan. In addition to Demon Master Cloud, there were many Scarlet Demon Clan members around him, each holding a powerful weapon and guarding the exit. At this time, the Sea Whale Island was constantly twisting its body in pain. In fact, it could not move at all and was firmly trapped here. Chapter 761. Cloud-chasing Demon Master's cultivation was astonishing. He was at Void Spirit Stage Level 8, a level stronger than the Empress. Just looking at the 2 arms on his back, one could tell that his overall strength was not as simple as it seemed. If Yi Tianyun was here, he would immediately know that it would be difficult for the Empress to defeat Cloud-chasing Demon Master. Unless she had some kind of treasure, it would be impossible for her to defeat Cloud-chasing Demon Master. It was not because of the difference in cultivation, but because the power of the Evil Spirit Tribe could crush opponents of the same level. The Mermaid Tribe's bloodline was not amazing. They were the favorites of the water and had a unique ability to control water's spiritual power. The problem was that Cloud-chasing Demon Master was from the Scarlet Demon Tribe. His control of water's spiritual power was not weaker than the Mermaid Tribe. Therefore, the gap between the two was not too big. My Empress, I did not expect you to recover so quickly. Did you find the water jade grass? Cloud-chasing Demon Master walked over with a smile. He looked at the mermaids who were filled with killing intent and said, Don't be so nervous. It's a foregone conclusion. I have trapped you whales and guarded the other exits. Where do you think you can escape to? Even if you are the Empress, it is meaningless for me if you recover to your peak state. Cloud-chasing Demon Master was not anxious at all. Instead, he looked at them and said, I'll give you 2 choices now. The first is to die and be captured by me as a sacrifice. The second is to submit to the Scarlet Demon Tribe and hand over the water jade bead to me. It's a waste to keep such a treasure with you. I think even if we submit to you, you will still capture many of our tribesmen as sacrifices. The Empress held the weapon in her hand tightly. It was a low-grade sacred tool. With their cultivation, it was more effective to use a weapon of this level. That is true. But if you do not submit to me, you will all be captured as sacrifices. I think the Empress should know what to choose, right? Cloud-chasing Demon Master's eyes were filled with coldness like a sharp sword that was about to be unsheathed at any time. Don't worry. We would rather die than let you have your way. Moreover, it is still uncertain who will live and who will die. The aura of the Empress and the others soared into the sky, and they did not fear death in the slightest. They still possessed that extremely stubborn strength. As expected of the mermaid clan. You've always been fearless of death. Since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish. Cloud-chasing demon master pointed with a finger and said in a deep voice, capture them. Kill those who resist. Yes. The scarlet demons were also full of vigor. Without any hesitation, they charged towards the merfolk tribe. Red light condensed on the long spears in their hands, emitting a demonic fiery light. The Scarlet Demon clan possessed both fire and water attributes, and could be considered a rather peculiar variant. This attack was undoubtedly a fatal one for the mermaid race. Grandma, let me help you. At this moment, Lan Qingling ran up from the back with a spear in her hand, giving off the vibe of a woman who was not inferior to any man. Princess. When Fatty Hai and the rest saw Lan Qingling running out, they were shocked. Even the Empress was shocked. She had told them to run away, but who would have thought that Lan Qingling would turn back the way she came? This made her heart sink to the extreme. Now, they could not escape even if they wanted to. Her original plan was to stall Cloud-chasing Demon Master, or risk her life to kill her way out with her people to attract all the attention here. Following Lan Qingling and Yi Tianyun to escape was a rather good plan. Now that everything was ruined, Lan Qingling actually chose to turn back the way she came. This made their hearts tremble. Why did you come back? The Empress's expression was ugly. Grandma, my parents are already gone. I can't leave Grandma behind and leave. Lan Qingling said with a determined look. Ai, silly child, you. The Empress sighed deeply, and then asked doubtfully, where's that human friend? I've already asked him to escape with Water Jade Bead to find his companions. I believe Big Brother Yi will be able to find the rest of the mermaid clan. Lan Qingling smiled faintly and said, Grandma, I will show you that I have never fallen behind in my cultivation for so many days. Alright, since they are all here, let's kill our way out together. Let them know that the mermaid clan will never surrender. The Empress knew that it was too late now. If she let Lan Qingling hide again, she would probably attract attention. She could only force her way out and see if she could escape. She still hoped that Lan Qingling would be able to escape from here, so she paid special attention to the situation here. Pretty gutsy, huh? Cloud-chasing Demon Master sneered, but this girl looks pretty good. She looks a little similar to the former Empress I used as an offering. Seems like she is the mermaid clan's princess. I wonder what will happen if I use her as an offering. I will kill you. Lan Qingling's blue eyes were filled with anger and killing intent, completely different from the innocent expression she had before. There are too many people who want to kill me. You won't make much of a difference. Cloud-chasing Demon Master charged over, waving a pearl in his hand. It was a medium-grade saint artifact, and it immediately bloomed with dazzling sparks. Empress, I broke your fishtail last time. This time, I will destroy your entire body. Let's see how you can escape. Let's see what you got. The Empress's eyes turned cold, and she fearlessly attacked with her spear. Suddenly, the inside of the sea whale turned into a battlefield, and everyone was fighting crazily. Lan Qingling also joined the battle, fighting with her companions at the front. She did not look like a princess, but a brave mermaid warrior. When they were fighting fiercely, a figure slowly walked out from behind, holding a blue crystal ball in his hand. It was the Water Jade Bead. When everyone saw it, they immediately stopped fighting and retreated to the side, looking at the human in front of them in disbelief. Didn't you want this Water Jade Bead? The one holding the Water Jade Bead was Yi Tianyun. He walked out step by step, and his eyes swept over the battlefield. The battle had not been long, and there were no casualties. It was still in a stalemate. A human. Cloud-chasing Demon Master's eyes narrowed. Haha, I did not expect the Water Jade Bead to be in the hands of a human. Very good, very good. Human lad, as long as you give me the water jade bead, not only will I let you live, but I will also give you a lot of treasures, and a few beautiful mermaids to serve you. What do you think of this deal? Cloud-chasing demon master knew the thoughts of humans. They were existences whose eyes lit up when they saw benefits. With just a little bit of enticement, they would immediately come to him. Chapter 762. This reward is not bad, but I need a higher reward. This is not enough to satisfy me. Tianyun smiled faintly. Elder Bo and the rest narrowed their eyes. If the other party offered a higher reward, wouldn't they really hand over the water jade bead? You can't hand it over. Elder Bo shouted anxiously. He was filled with regret. He had led a wolf into the house. The queen and the rest were disappointed. They did not expect that the human who healed them would still be greedy. Bastard, to think that the princess trusted you so much. You actually. Fatty Hai was furious. The hand that he pointed at Tianyun was trembling. Lankingling stared at Tianyun with her beautiful blue eyes. She was confused as to why Tianyun would say such a thing. You shut up. It's his choice now. If you dare to make a move, don't blame me for being impolite. Cloud-chasing demon master pointed at Elder Bo and laughed at Tianyun. What is your request? Just tell me. As long as it's not too much, I can satisfy you. Cloud-chasing demon master laughed in his heart. He liked this kind of greedy human. He would agree on all the conditions first and then kill him later. Promises were bullshit to him. It was normal to go back on his words after everything was settled. He did not expect things to go so smoothly. After getting the water jade beads so easily, he would definitely be a great hero. I'm not a greedy person. For example, I just want the lives of all of you here. I don't want much. I just want your lives. How about that? Tianyun smiled evilly. This bastard was from the evil spirit race. Even if he brought over a few high-grade god equipment, he would not hesitate for even half a second. The evil spirit race was so cruel. Even if he gave him something good, he would not be able to spend it. You. Cloud-chasing demon master was furious. He did not expect the other party to be playing with him. He did not intend to hand over the water jade bead from the start. I knew that Big Brother E would not ask for any reward. Lan Qingling laughed, and the others relaxed. They thought that Tianyun was really going to join them, but who would have thought that he was just toying with them? Tianyun tossed the water jade bead in his hand to the side, and it landed in Lan Qingling's hands just like that. He then said calmly, since it's yours, you have to hold on to it properly. Don't let anyone else take it so easily in the future. This thing was given back just like that, as though it was a piece of trash. It was given back to Lan Qingling just like that. This action caused the Empress and the others to falter. No matter how stupid they were, they should know just how valuable this treasure was. However, this human before them had given it back just like that, and there was not the slightest hint of reluctance in his expression. This didn't seem like an act at all. Big Brother E, why aren't you leaving? They will kill you. Lan Qingling shouted anxiously. Didn't I say that I can deal with the Scarlet Demon clan? I can deal with these pieces of trash in an instant. If you had listened to me, you wouldn't have run away from the beginning. Then, you wouldn't have had to fight like this. Tianyun shook his head. The Empress was instantly speechless. Wasn't this boasting a little too much? It was fine if he said it in front of his own people. At most, he would be criticized once or twice. But now, he said it in front of the enemy. Wasn't he afraid of angering the cloud-chasing demon master? Brat, I didn't expect you humans to be so arrogant. How dare you say such big words? You even dared to fool me just now. Very well, I will start with you. Cloud-chasing demon master said angrily, "Call the scarlet demons outside in and clean this place up." Immediately, a guard rushed out and called for his companions to come in and help. However, not long after he went out, he immediately rushed back, and his face was pale. My lord, something bad has happened." The guard's face was pale, and his eyes were filled with terror as if he had seen a ghost. "What happened? Didn't I tell you to call for help?" Cloud-chasing demon master angrily slapped him, and the guard took a few steps back. "Outside, the guards outside are all dead," the guard said in horror. "What, all dead?" Cloud-chasing demon master and the others shouted in horror. Even the Empress and the others were shocked. Could it be that the mermaid race has some kind of reinforcement? That's impossible. The other races can't even take care of themselves, so how could they help? Cloud-chasing demon master's expression was ugly. On the other hand, the Empress's situation was much better. They didn't know who came to help, but in short, it was a very good situation. There's no need to guess. They were all settled by me. It took a little time. Tianyun said calmly, "The Scarlet Demon race, TSK, colluded with the evil spirit race, and even moved Ascension Altar away. Let me go and check what exactly is going on." You did it?" Everyone looked at him in shock. They really didn't believe it, thinking that he was boasting. "Alright, don't be so surprised. I'll spare your life. The rest can die now." Tianyun stretched out his hand and flicked. Peng, peng, peng. Sounds were heard. Everyone saw the bodies of the Scarlet Demon race explode, turning into clouds of blood mist. Not even a corpse was left. In the blink of an eye, not a single Scarlet Demon race was left, leaving only Cloud-chasing Demon Master, isolated and helpless. This scene left everyone dumbfounded, and they were instantly dumbfounded. Just a little bit of power and it immediately shocked everyone. Fatty Hai, who previously said that Tianyun was boasting, was now shocked speechless. What is called power, this is it. A group of Scarlet Demon race was easily taken care of in the blink of an eye. It was extremely easy. They all thought that Tianyun was boasting, but now it proved that he was not boasting at all. He had been telling the truth from the beginning, but they didn't believe him at all. His cultivation is so strong. The Empress and the others gasped, unable to wrap their heads around it. Big Brother can really take care of them. No wonder it sounded like the truth to me. I should believe in my own feelings. Lan Qingling clapped her hands happily, feeling extremely happy. She could tell that what Tianyun said was the truth, but even her grandmother couldn't deal with it, so she couldn't believe it for a while. After all, telling the truth and being able to deal with it were two different things. For example, I can break through, this is the truth, but whether I can break through or not, this is another matter. It was the truth, but it didn't mean that it was effective. Now that he showed his hand, it was really a slap in the face. He had always been telling the truth, but they had always treated it as a lie. It was really melodramatic. If they really listened to Tianyun, they wouldn't be in a hurry. They would have stayed where they were and waited for Tianyun to go out and kill them all with a wave of his hand. It was just that they didn't believe it, and they didn't dare to believe it. If it was really boasting, who would bear the responsibility? Chapter 763. Killing all the Scarlet Beasts except for Cloud-chasing Monster Master in just a few moves. This kind of terrifying power was really shocking. And now that he had Cloud-chasing Demon Master under control, Lin Fan did not even need Lan Qingling to lead the way. He was the only one who could do it. Furthermore, it was much more accurate than Lan Qingling's guidance, and they were able to pass through easily. Tell me about the current situation of the Scarlet Beast clan. Tianyun pointed his finger and signaled Cloud-chasing Monster Master to tell him the current situation. He wasn't worried about the Mermaid clan. The Mermaid clan was a great hero and they were on his side. The Scarlet Beast clan has joined forces with the Evil Spirit clan to conquer the entire sea region. They will constantly capture other clans to sacrifice to the old ancestors so that he can become stronger and unify the entire mortal realm. Then, he will unify the other two realms and become the world of the Evil Spirit clan. Cloud-chasing demon master said it mechanically without missing a single word. He said it truthfully. The people on the side were dumbfounded. If it wasn't for the fact that Tianyun had killed so many Scarlet Beast clan members, they would have thought that it was a conversation between two friends. Otherwise, why would he reveal so much information? Immediately, Tianyun continued to ask other questions. He asked about everything, including the current situation of the Scarlet Beast clan. After asking clearly, he was very clear about the general situation. Just as he thought, the real mastermind was the Evil Spirit clan, not the Scarlet Beast clan. The Scarlet Beast clan was just an accomplice who wanted to dominate the entire sea region. The Evil Spirit clan had even infiltrated the upper echelons of the Scarlet Beast clan, so it was basically their own force. The original experts of the Scarlet Beast clan even acknowledged the Evil Spirit clan. How could they not help when there were benefits and top-notch martial arts? The mobile palace was created by the Evil Spirit clan. Their cultivation was amazing, at least at the Saint King stage. Logically speaking, it should be impossible for a Saint King stage expert to exist in the mortal realm. After he fixed the suppression divine rune, everything would return to how it was before. From the looks of it now, they should have a way to avoid the suppression. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such an astonishing powerhouse here. I didn't expect that there would be a fish that slipped through the net, and a very big one at that. Tianyun's eyes were cold. He was curious as to what kind of power the Scarlet Demon clan had to be able to move the Ascension Divine Altar. Without the strength of a Saint King stage or above, it was impossible to move it. Now, it seemed like this sea region was their paradise. A terrifying power was hiding here. It's possible that this region of the sea allowed them to avoid the suppression. Tianyun made a simple guess. This sea region was a little strange, and it was very vast. With some tricks up his sleeve, he should be able to avoid the suppression. If they could really ignore all the suppression, they would have fallen long ago. This was the Evil Spirit race's Saint King stage powerhouse. Compared to them, who were only at the Spirit King stage, the Evil Spirit race's Evil Spirit race could easily crush them. But nothing happened. Everything was so peaceful. Thus, there was only one possibility. They didn't dare to leave the sea. It could even be said that they had just left the mountain not long ago. After all, the Ascension Divine Altar was moved a year ago, which proved that they had just left the mountain not long ago. So, they immediately spread their forces and dominated the sea region. After conquering the sea region, they could let other races kill them. Once they occupied the entire mortal world, the suppression would be broken, and the mortal world would immediately fall. After capturing Cloud-chasing Monster Master, Tianyun already knew most of the situation, but there were some deeper secrets that he still didn't know. For example, whether there were other Evil Spirit races forces or other conspiracies, these were all unknown. Only by killing them personally, could he know everything. This Evil Spirit race and that Ascension Divine Altar, are they the foreign demon forces that the ancestor mentioned? The Empress asked when she saw that Tianyun didn't ask any more questions. Yes, they are the foreign demon forces that infiltrated the major races to reproduce. Now that they moved the heaven-creating Divine King's Ascension Divine Altar to weaken the suppression, it's very likely that their old ancestor is hiding and doesn't dare to expose himself. Once exposed, they will be suppressed by the suppression and even suffer heavy injuries. This hidden force is basically above the Saint King stage. If we don't solve this problem, the races in this sea region will suffer a disaster. They are famous for devouring demons of other races. Apart from their own people, all other races will become their food, not a single one will be spared. Tianyun looked at them and said truthfully. They have the right to know the truth. Saint King stage, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Their old ancestor once had this cultivation, but now that they had declined, there was no Saint King stage cultivator left. The strongest cultivator was only at the void spirit stage. You are the companions of the heaven-creating divine king. In theory, we are on the same side. It's just that your situation isn't very good now. If they send some strong experts over, you will definitely die. Yi Tianyun said solemnly. You'd better find a place to settle down. I will give you some resources to settle down. It's best to form a group with other races. On the same side? What is your real identity? The Empress couldn't help but ask. The descendant of the heaven-creating divine king. Yi Tianyun said straightforwardly. Greetings, young master. The Empress's face changed, and she hurriedly bowed down respectfully. Greetings, young master. Everyone else bowed respectfully to Yi Tianyun. They are very respectful to him. Yi Tianyun was confused by the situation, but he quickly understood what was going on. It seems like your old ancestor left some ancestral teachings. Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Yes, the old ancestor said that as long as you are the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king, you will be our young master in the future. The Empress and the others didn't expect that the person they had been misunderstood would turn out to be the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king, their future young master. However, they were absolutely convinced that the young master who had just saved their entire mermaid clan and possessed extremely powerful strength. Combining the two, they were truly convinced that Yi Tianyun was their young master. Otherwise, they really didn't want to admit that the old ancestors' teachings were useless. After all, that was built on the premise that he was trustworthy. If he came over to burn, kill, rob, or run away without even helping, he would be an idiot if he still addressed him as young master. So there's such a thing, then we are even more on the same side. Yi Tianyun glanced at the crowd and immediately smiled. It seems that he can take over this sea area. Chapter 764. After the incident had calmed down, the Empress immediately gave orders to reorganize the mermaid race, and arranged for the injured mermaids to rest. For now, there was no need to escape. With Yi Tianyun here, all he needed to do was rest. I didn't expect you to be our young master. Lan Qingling's beautiful eyes flickered as she sized up Yi Tianyun from head to toe. She then smiled and said, I really can't believe that the one who saved me is the young master. Lan Qingling circled around Yi Tianyun, feeling that everything was so magical. Before this, she had thought that he was an enemy. But now, not only was he her benefactor, he was also her young master. The ancestors of the mermaid clan were really loyal to the heaven-creating divine king. They were even willing to pass down such ancestral teachings. It should be said that the ancestors knew how powerful the heaven-creating divine king was, and they believed that the successor would definitely not be bad, so if he followed them, he would definitely not be bad. The water jade bead was a gift from the heaven-creating divine king, and this alone was enough. The ancestor of the mermaid clan immediately knew that there would be meat to eat with the heaven-creating divine king. How could he not immediately curry favor with a middle-tier god artifact just because he said so? However, it was not the heaven-creating divine king who could forge medium-grade divine weapons, but the sky-sealing divine king. The king of the heavens was a creator-level blacksmith. The heaven-creating divine king had asked the king of the heavens to help forge it. I didn't think of that either. Yi Tianyun smiled. He also didn't think that such a thing would happen. He didn't expect that the mermaid race would trust the heaven-creating divine king so much. Then, young master, when will you set off for the Scarlet Demon clan? Lan Qingling asked worriedly. Yes, I'm ready. I'll be heading over after making some arrangements. Yi Tianyun nodded his head. The mermaid clan needed to discuss their plans. They didn't need their help to kill their way into the Scarlet Goblin clan. Yi Tianyun was enough. What he needed was a detailed plan from the mermaid race. He needed the mermaid race to rule over all the races in the sea. The heavenly cloud's empire was enough on the land, and the sea was an empty space. Only after occupying both sides would the mortal world truly be at ease. The heavenly realm and the netherworld can be slower, but the mortal world must be unified. The situation in the mortal realm was the weakest, so they needed to unite even more. At that time, they would be able to better deal with the evil spirit race. He had thought that the evil spirit race had only infiltrated the heaven realm and the netherworld. Who would have thought that the mortal realm had already infiltrated and had even taken root in the sea? As for the details of the situation, it was up to him to investigate. Young master, do you need me to lead the way? Lan Qingling's face was filled with excitement. It was obvious that she wanted to help out. What do you think? Yi Tianyun took a look at cloud-chasing demon master beside him. Lan Qingling's face fell immediately. If they were to compare leading the way, she would definitely not be as good as cloud-chasing demon master. Cloud-chasing demon master stood at the side, unable to move. His eyes were filled with fear, but he could not say a word. He was conscious, but he couldn't speak or move. This was what terrified him the most. He could control her at will and say whatever she wanted him to. Such a mystical manipulation technique shocked the mermaid race. If they were controlled, wouldn't they have to say everything? Fortunately, Yi Tianyun was her young master. This matter was not their turn yet. But I want to help. The Scarlet Demon race captured my parents. I want to take revenge. Lan Qingling's eyes were filled with hatred and determination. I can understand your feelings, but with your current cultivation, you won't be of much help. Yi Tianyun rejected her heartlessly. Previously, he had agreed to bring her along because Lan Qingling knew the way. But now, it was different. With cloud-chasing demon master leading the way, there was no need for her to lead the way. This would be very risky. He did not know what the situation was over there, but it was better to be careful. After hearing this, Lan Qingling was like a deflated balloon. She immediately became dispirited and her eyes were filled with unwillingness. The Scarlet Demon race is not what you really need to take revenge on. The Scarlet Demon race is just cannon fodder. The real enemy is the evil spirit race. Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and gently touched her head. This is a memory for you. It contains some martial arts. The most important thing for you now is to cultivate well and improve your cultivation. Rule the sea area with your grandma. Find all the evil spirit race hiding in the sea area. I have already taught you the method to identify them. You can explain it to the Empress later. This is a difficult task, and I can't do it alone. This was true. He chose to unify not because he had absolute power. But when all the forces belonged to him or listened to his orders, he could interrogate them one by one and quickly spread out in all directions to find the evil spirit race. Even if the heaven-creating divine king and the others had amazing strength, they could not find all the places. If the whole mortal realm was covered with his forces, it would undoubtedly be much easier to find them. If there was anything amiss, he would ferociously dig it out and send people to completely eradicate it, or let him do it himself. After absorbing the memory, Lan Qingling's blue eyes flashed with a bit of determination. Okay, I know. I will definitely do this well. I will rule the whole sea area. Ding, Lan Qingling became a general, gained 5 million EXP, 100. 000 crazy point. Yi Tianyun smiled. This was an unexpected harvest. He didn't expect Lan Qingling to recognize him so much. Then he will train her well. After settling everything, he immediately left with cloud-chasing demon master and did not stay any longer. He hoped that the mermaid race would do what he told them to do. You are dead. Even if you can find the heaven-ascending divine altar, you will never be able to take it away. When the time comes, our patriarch will definitely kill you and devour you. Hurry up and leave no bones behind. We have a lot of powerful identities and powerful helpers. Don't talk about killing your way in, you won't even be able to enter the door. Cloud-chasing demon master, who has recovered his ability to speak, started to spew nonsense all the way. Yi Tianyun just stood there silently, listening to cloud-chasing demon master's words. Huh? Powerful helpers, tell me the information about powerful helpers. Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Although the eyes of charm could control people, it couldn't search their memories. So if Yi Tianyun didn't ask, cloud-chasing demon master wouldn't say anything at all. It's the Water Dragon Empire's great emperor. They are willing to cooperate with us. They want to use our power to suppress the Heavenly Clouds Empire. In return, they need to pass on the information from the outside world and listen to our instructions. They don't know that the Water Dragon Empire will be sucked dry by us in the end. They are a group of stupid humans. Chapter 765. Sure enough, they joined forces with the human race to control the sea area, and then they want to control the imperial forces on the land through other imperial forces? Yi Tianyun squinted his eyes. Sure enough, some forces couldn't hold back their ambitions and wanted to capture the Heavenly Clouds Empire. It seemed that the Water Dragon Empire was doomed. He had heard about the Water Dragon Empire. It was ranked in the top 8, not too high nor too low. They had always been relatively low-key. Who would have thought that they would have such ambition? They even dared to think about wiping out their own empire and replacing it. The key was that cooperating with the evil spirit race was tantamount to a traitor to the human race and even the three realms. He didn't believe that the people of the Water Dragon Empire didn't know about the situation of the evil spirit race. This kind of race was willing to cooperate with them, which proved how crazy they were. Yi Tianyun's eyes were full of killing intent. This kind of traitor should be eliminated completely. You are dead. Don't try to get any information from me. I can't reveal any information to you this time. Just give up. Cloud-chasing demon master shouted when he found that he could speak again. Don't worry, I don't intend to get too much information from you. You are just a small character. What kind of information can you get? Yi Tianyun looked at him coldly. He didn't know a lot of important information, such as where the old ancestor was hiding before, or if there were other important bases. He didn't say a word. He was just a small character. When Cloud-chasing demon master opened his mouth and wanted to refute something, he found that he couldn't speak anymore. Yi Tianyun was too lazy to listen to him. No matter what kind of conspiracy it was, he just needed to punch it. No wonder they gave such an amazing reward. It seems that this trip won't be easy. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. The amazing reward of the main quest meant that it would be difficult to regain control this time. Under the guidance of Cloud-chasing demon master, they quickly swam to Heaven Ascending Divine Altar. According to Cloud-chasing demon master, Heaven Ascending Divine Altar was now their base. No matter what it was controlled. For example, those creator-level divine runes were all controlled. This meant that the phantom in Heaven Ascending Divine Altar was basically suppressed. It seemed that the opponent this time was quite difficult, but it wasn't too difficult for him. Unless a god king appeared, everything else was trash. With his astonishing speed, he soon arrived at the territory of the Scarlet Demon tribe, the Underground Abyss. As expected, this area was quite difficult to find. If no one led the way, he would have to spend a lot of effort to find this place. Not only was the place remote, but it was also very deep. It was in the depths of a huge crack. Looking down from above, it was dark and unfathomable. Even the water source was much colder than above. It felt like they had entered a world of ice and snow. Ding! Elephant Tiger Empire successfully became an ally. Reward, 1 billion EXP, 10. 000 Crazy Point, 10. 000 SPS, 10. 000 Proficiency, can be assigned to any place that requires proficiency. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes. Just as he was about to attack, he heard the latest news. It seemed that dragging the Empire into an alliance would give him quite a good reward, which was unexpected. This proved that Shi Shuiyun and the others had been working very hard. If this were to continue, he would be able to level up once he roped in most of the forces. I'm not fighting alone, I have a group of reliable companions supporting me. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. For them, he should protect everything. Immediately, he dragged cloud-chasing demon master and swam down quickly. At the same time, he concealed his aura and quietly hid behind. As long as it wasn't a super expert, it was impossible to discover his existence. As he went deeper and deeper, finally a familiar figure appeared in front of him. The huge heaven-ascending divine altars stood at the bottom of the abyss. There were countless ice here, and it was quite cold. However, the Scarlet Demon tribe wasn't worried. They had water and fire attributes in their body, so they weren't afraid of this cold. There were many Scarlet Demon tribe members guarding the heaven-ascending divine altar, looking around vigilantly. Although it was very remote, they didn't relax their vigilance and were all patrolling the edge. Who is it? When cloud-chasing demon master just came down, a guard immediately pointed his weapon at him. When he saw that it was cloud-chasing demon master, he immediately said respectfully, "It turned out to be cloud-chasing demon master, you came back so quickly?" "I came back to report some matters." Cloud-chasing demon master waved his hand. These were all controlled by Yi Tianyun. He could control everything. Yes. Without any hesitation, the guards immediately made way for cloud-chasing demon master to enter. Cloud-chasing demon master's cultivation wasn't very high, but it was considered very good here, so the guards were still very respectful. However, a moment later, cloud-chasing demon master suddenly went crazy and slashed at the guards beside him with his weapon. The guards didn't even have time to react before many of them were slashed to death. Cloud-chasing demon master, what's wrong with you? Cloud-chasing demon master is crazy, he betrayed us. Quick, stop him, call for reinforcements. All of them shouted and dodged to the side as if they had gone crazy. These guards' cultivation was too low, and they couldn't compare to cloud-chasing demon master. Soon, some people came out of the heaven-ascending divine altar to support them. The first one who came out was a four-armed scarlet demon clan. Cloud-chasing demon master, are you crazy? Cloud-chasing demon master kept roaring in his heart. I'm not crazy, someone made me crazy. But he couldn't say it out loud. When he saw the person rushing out, he immediately raised his weapon and fought with his companions who rushed out. The situation outside quickly affected the inside. Many experts rushed out, all of them were Void Spirit stage experts. Even the Spirit King stage Scarlet Demon clan rushed out. He didn't expect the Scarlet Demon clan's strength to be so amazing, but each of them had 4 arms, which proved that they all had the bloodline of the Evil Spirit clan. They didn't hide at all, unlike the Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation, who only showed the appearance of the Evil Spirit clan when they burst out. From the beginning, they didn't hide at all. At the same time, Yi Tianyun's figure flashed and disappeared. In the next moment, he appeared inside the heaven-ascending divine altar. It was undeniable that this place was under control, but it was still the heaven-ascending divine altar. At this time, there was no one inside, everyone was attracted by the situation outside. In fact, he could have killed all the way in, but he needed to know the details of the situation inside. Who exactly had the ability to control this heaven ascension divine altar? Chapter 766. After Yi Tianyun sneaked in, he immediately went deep inside. He was too familiar with this place. Every heaven ascension divine altar was exactly the same, there was no difference at all. So as soon as he came in, he entered the secret passage and easily avoided the patrol of other guards. In less than a moment, he went out from the other end, and his figure flashed in front of a group of guards. No one could see his movements. His speed was too fast, and the guards here couldn't see him at all. At most, they could feel a gust of wind blowing past them. I wonder who is controlling this heaven ascension altar. Tianyun squinted his eyes. To be able to suppress the spirits here and control the environment here, it was impossible without a certain level of ability. He really wanted to see who it was, or which expert from the evil spirit race it was. He hit his figure and quickly flew towards the control panel. The deeper he went, the fewer guards there were. It was basically impossible to break in here. If someone could break in, it meant that they were powerful, so there was no need to set up any protection. Huh. When Tianyun passed by a room, he immediately stopped and quietly squatted to the side, blending with the wall so that no one could see him. He just stood there, listening to the sound inside. Hey, it seems that there is a situation outside. The water dragon Great Emperor frowned and stood up. Don't worry about it, it should be a small matter. Let's continue talking. The person opposite to him was an old man, who looked very ordinary, no different from the ordinary old man outside. However, the guards next to the old man stood respectfully next to him, and each of them was at the Spirit King stage, which was enough to prove that this seemingly ordinary old man was not a mortal. An old man who could sit in front of a great emperor couldn't be simple. Lord Sangming, now that the Heavenly Clouds Empire has begun to spread its power crazily, we must join that bullshit alliance. If we don't join, we will be punished. It seems that the Heavenly Clouds Empire wants to rule the entire mortal world. If you don't take action now, not only our Water Dragon Empire, but even the other empires will be conquered. The Water Dragon Great Emperor said angrily. The Heavenly Clouds Empire is too overbearing. I don't know where they got so many weapons and so many demonic beasts. If this goes on, there will be no place for our Water Dragon Empire. If he joined the alliance, he would definitely have to listen to Tianyun's orders, and someone would arrange for him to take up a position in the empire. It would be equivalent to being monitored, and it would not be convenient for them to move around. If Tianyun interfered in the affairs of the other empires, he would definitely cause them to be disgusted. Therefore, he would use martial arts to make them submit. In fact, the effect was very obvious. The fact that there were empires coming over immediately was the best proof. He wouldn't interfere too much. Everything would operate according to the previous situation. He would only send someone to pass on the message. Once something happened, he would immediately send someone to give instructions. It was that simple. He didn't care about anything else. He wasn't that interested. If they want to pull you into their alliance, then you should join them. Elder Sangming smiled faintly. Isn't this exactly what we want? They could easily mingle with them, and when the time came, it would be even easier to plant their forces in their empire. You can even say that it would be easier to capture some cultivators. Do you understand what I mean? But they will arrange for people to come over and take over some things. Our every move will be known. The Water Dragon Great Emperor knew that there were many benefits, but it was definitely not a good feeling to be monitored. That's easy. I will give you some soul enchanting poison to make him delirious. Wouldn't everything be solved? Elder Sangming smiled and took out a bottle of something and put it in front of him. The Water Dragon Great Emperor's eyes lit up. Is there such an amazing poison? It can control others at will and make them listen to your orders? Of course. To us, nothing is impossible. Old Man Sangming said, you can go ahead and do whatever you want. I will do my best to support you from behind. Find an opportunity to kill the Heavenly Clouds Empire's Great Emperor, and this new force will soon collapse. It's just a new empire, and its foundation is not stable. Once the Great Emperor dies, it will immediately fall into chaos. That's for sure. That Great Emperor is a nouveau riche, and he is just relying on his power to kill people. If he dies, the Heavenly Clouds Empire will definitely collapse. The Water Dragon Great Emperor said with strong killing intent in his eyes. How could he not be jealous of Heavenly Clouds Empire that easily? He hated himself for not having such a strong power, and he also wanted to be so domineering. All of them submitted to him, not daring to resist. It's just that the heavenly cloud's great emperor is very elusive, and we don't know where he went. It's too difficult to assassinate him, and he is also very strong. He might be at the peak of the Spirit King stage. The water dragon great emperor shook his head again as he thought about it. If he doesn't have some ability, how can he become an emperor? Elder Tsang Ming said indifferently. If he dares to come to the sea, I will kill him. If you can't deal with him, try to lure him here, and we will deal with him. Of course, who doesn't know Lord Tsang Ming's ability? The water dragon great emperor said with a smile. By the way, we can capture his trusted aides. I heard that some of them have a good relationship with him. As long as we capture them as hostages, we will definitely be able to lure him here. Alright, we can't leave this sea, so you will be the one to do it. As long as you can lure him here, it will be a success. Elder Tsang Ming said. From now on, you will be in charge of the land, and we will control the sea. We will support each other. Of course, of course. The water dragon great emperor was excited. This was the result he wanted. How could he not be excited to rule all the continents? If there is no problem, I want to implement it as soon as possible. Elder Tsang Ming said. Also, did you send people to destroy the passage between the heavenly realm and the underworld? Yes, but it is very difficult to destroy it, especially the heavenly realm. Just as we tried to destroy it, a strong expert intercepted us. We didn't know who it was, but more than half of our people died. The water dragon great emperor shook his head, feeling very annoyed. At all costs, you must destroy the two passages, understand? Elder Tsang Ming's eyes turned cold, and his aura surged out. The water dragon great emperor was pushed back a few steps, and almost fell to the ground. Understood. The water dragon great emperor's back was drenched in cold sweat. Chapter 767. As soon as Yi Tianyun came in, he heard such heavy news. From their conversation, he could tell that they had made a deal before, and it wasn't just once or twice. Especially when he heard that they wanted to capture the people around him to threaten him, an astonishing killing intent surged in his heart. He always had a principle: if they came for him, it didn't matter. But if his family or friends were involved, then it would be equivalent to killing his entire family. Now, in his heart, the Water Dragon Empire had become a target of destruction, especially for a traitor. But they didn't know Yi Tianyun's good intentions. In order to make the mortal world safer, he formed an alliance. Moreover, he could tell that they already had a cooperative relationship before he formed this alliance. This proved that the Water Dragon Great Emperor and the others were so ambitious that they were willing to collude with the evil spirit race. It seems that I have to strengthen my guard in this area. I didn't know that the evil spirit race existed in the mortal world before he came to this sea area. He really didn't know that the evil spirit race existed here, and they were very powerful. The old man in front of him had reached the 7th level of the Saint King stage, which was unbelievable. How could there be such a strong cultivator in the mortal world? In fact, it existed just like that. It wasn't suppressed at all, and it looked pretty good here. Yi Tianyun could feel that there was indeed no pressure in this area. Because he was a guardian, he was not suppressed at all. It didn't mean that he couldn't sense the suppression. There was no suppression here. It should be some kind of treasure or some kind of power that was resisting it. Tsang Ming's previous words were very clear. If he could leave this sea area, he would have been able to suppress all forces. It's just that he couldn't go up now, unless he destroyed the power of the two passages, so the suppression effect would be greatly weakened. It was just weakened, but it didn't mean that it didn't exist. But after being weakened, they could easily leave this sea area by relying on their strength. At that time, the mortal world would immediately fall into a crisis. They wouldn't need to rely on external demon reinforcements. Their current strength was enough to suppress the mortal world. Originally, the heaven-creating Divine King and the others created this suppression to make the resource-scarce mortal world safer, so that there wouldn't be so many powerful forces here. Otherwise, no one would have food to eat, and the resources wouldn't be able to support those experts. They would definitely be sent to the heaven realm or the underworld. Now that most of the experts had left, the strongest was only at the Spirit King stage. If a Saint King stage expert came out, everything would be over. Very quickly, they finished discussing the plan. It was to have the Water Dragon Emperor strengthen the destruction of the 2 tunnels and lure him over to the sea region. Don't worry, I will definitely do it well. The Water Dragon Emperor smiled as he walked out. Just as he walked out, a figure appeared in front of him. He subconsciously looked up and immediately met a pair of eyes. The next moment, he felt his consciousness disappear, as if he had been sucked into a whirlpool. Water Dragon Emperor, what's wrong? A guard at the side looked at the Water Dragon Emperor with a look of disgust. Although they were working with the Water Dragon Emperor, they still hated the human race. Or rather, they hated any other race besides themselves. He was even more annoyed that he was blocking the way here. Nothing, I just want to eat something. I will definitely complete Lord Sangming's task. The Water Dragon Emperor smiled and turned to leave. Sangming walked out of the tunnel and looked in front of him. Why did I feel someone here just now? Sangming frowned, but he didn't think much about it. He turned around and walked forward. After he disappeared, a figure gradually appeared. Who else could it be but Yi Tianyun? After he controlled the Water Dragon Emperor, Yi Tianyun immediately went invisible to avoid being seen by Sangming. Fortunately, the Water Dragon Emperor's cultivation was at the 4th layer of Spirit King stage. As for the Demon Master Cloud Chaser, he was already dead outside. Let me see where you are going. Yi Tianyun's eyes became cold, he continued to hide his body and followed the old man. He wanted to see where the old man was going. He completely concealed his aura and followed them silently. The other party had no idea who was behind him. Soon, under the lead of Sangming, Yi Tianyun arrived at the core area of the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar. There were countless divine runes in this area, all of which could control the divine runes in all areas of the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar. Open the door. Sangming shouted. Rumble, the heavy door in front of him slowly opened. The door was very hard, even a Saint King stage expert would find it difficult to break it. However, with a shout from him, the door was easily opened. Yi Tianyun frowned and didn't follow Sangming. After all, he would be exposed if he followed Sangming. If he got too close, it would be easy to be discovered. Immediately, the door slowly closed and returned to its previous state. But Yi Tianyun wasn't worried. He just stuck close to the door and used his appraisal eye to penetrate the wall. The divine runes on the wall couldn't stop him from penetrating it, so he could easily see the situation inside. After probing inside, Yi Tianyun immediately got a panoramic view of the situation inside. After Sangming walked up, he said in a deep voice. Sangming, how is your control? In front of Sangming was the evil spirit race, and it was a real evil spirit race. It had 2 arms on its back and 2 arms on its front. Its whole body was pitch black, like a black crystal. Its cultivation had reached the 6th layer of the Saint King stage, similar to Sangming. The key was that this was the original state of the evil spirit race, and it hadn't undergone reproduction with other races. Unexpectedly, there was still a fish that escaped the net. Almost there, I basically have control over it. If I hadn't devoured so many descendants of the heaven-creating Divine King, I wouldn't have been able to control this thing. Sangming said in a harsh voice. If you continue to catch more descendants of the heaven-creating Divine King, you can easily deceive the heaven-ascending Divine Altar. Yes, I have already ordered people to catch them, but it's not easy to find the descendants of the heaven-creating Divine King. There are too few of them in the mortal world, and there should be more in the underworld. If I hadn't seen who the descendants of the heaven-creating Divine King were, it would have been really difficult to catch them. Sangming sneered. When the heaven-ascending Divine Altar is completely controlled, the pressure will be greatly reduced. If the channel is destroyed, then we can basically leave this sea. Yes, we have been waiting for this day for too long. If it weren't for the treasures left by our ancestors, we would have been discovered. Moreover, we have to use the blood of our ancestors to ensure that our descendants can survive here. Sung Ming said angrily. Heaven creating divine king, king of the heavens, and that damn ancient underworld god king, I must make their descendants die without a burial place. Chapter 768. Yi Tianyun has been thinking about how someone could control the heaven-ascending divine altar, unless it's the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king. But how could the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king come here and not die? This was the territory of the evil spirit race. If they came here, they would definitely die without a burial ground. It should be said that they would be devoured until not even their bones were left. Unexpectedly, they have such a special ability to devour the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king and then absorb the blood essence for their own use. In this case, they can deceive the phantom. The phantom doesn't care about appearance, it only recognizes the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king. After passing the test, it can obtain the right to inherit. Although Yi Tianyun has become the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king, the priority is still the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king, especially the heaven-ascending divine altar in the mortal world. So from the beginning, he couldn't contact the heaven-ascending divine altar here, otherwise he would have sensed the teleportation formation here. It should be suppressed by the evil spirit race with a treasure, cutting off the power of the heaven-ascending divine altar. Without any power, the effect of blocking was definitely minimal. After being controlled, it is even easier to move the heaven-ascending divine altar away. Although the heaven-ascending divine altar is huge, as long as there are enough sea monsters or a lot of experts, it can be moved away. The premise is that the heaven-ascending divine altar doesn't resist, then it can be easily moved away. Otherwise, if it is forcibly moved, it will trigger the attack of the heaven-ascending divine altar. Even a Saint King stage expert will be killed. Who knew that the evil spirit race would capture the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king and devour them to gain control? This method is really cruel, it makes him angry. Listening to what they said, they can also see who is the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king. This is simply terrifying. No wonder the heaven-creating divine king's empire was destroyed so quickly. Without a strong force to protect it, it was easily destroyed by the evil spirit race left here. The heaven-sealing divine kingdom is different. It has a special power to suppress the evil spirit race. Once they get close, they will be destroyed. The heaven-creating divine king was not selfish enough, otherwise his divine kingdom would not have been destroyed. Yi Tianyun inferred that it is very likely that it was destroyed by the evil spirit race, but the heaven-ascending divine altar of the underworld is a bit more shocking and uncontrollable. After all, the Nether Heaven divine kingdom has been controlling it for a long time. Very good, very good. This is really a big gain. Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold, and his heart was cold. Originally, he came to heaven-ascending divine altar, but now that he could destroy one of the oldest forces, how could he not make a profit? But he is not in a rush, he wants to hear what is going on inside. That's for sure. The injuries that the three great god kings gave us must be avenged. However, the three realms are all ours. When the time comes, all lives will submit to us. We can devour them whenever we want. Sung Ming laughed heartily and said, "It's almost done. You haven't even absorbed the blood essence from before. This time, I've caught two descendants of the heaven-creating divine king. It's just that the bloodline is quite thin, just a trace at most. Tian Yang Dragon Race, Yang Ascending Realm, Ascending Demon King, Clan, Dragon of Clan has, the Master's Clan, Dragon has to Sect, Clan. Yang of the Clan, Sect, King, Sect, Yang Yen, Clan, God, Sect. Okay. Sung Ming old man waved his hand and two figures were thrown to the ground. One was from the mermaid race and the other was from the heavenly monster race. Only the evil spirit race has the ability to recognize the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king, and the scarlet demon race definitely can't recognize them. Most of the evil spirit race can't leave the sea, so they can only capture people in this area. The descendants of the heaven-creating divine king have a good relationship with the races in the sea, so it is normal for them to marry. Therefore, it is not strange for them to have the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king. However, the density of the bloodline is quite low, basically negligible. For the evil spirit race, as long as it is the power of the bloodline, it does not matter how much it is, they just need to absorb it. As long as they can accumulate it bit by bit, it is enough. There are very few people who have the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king. It is already very good if they can get close to it. Therefore, they can only accumulate a lot. It seems that the phantom made the wrong judgment, it must have devoured a lot of people. Don't devour me, don't devour me. The heavenly monster race is as timid as a mouse and immediately shrunk into a ball. However, they are all tied up and can't even escape. The mermaid race girl looked at them coldly and said, "If you want to kill us, then kill us. The Empress will definitely avenge us." The mermaid race's character is completely opposite. They are worthy of being the first to kill, they always have a fearless heart. No wonder the heaven-creating divine king would ask the king of the heavens to help him forge a middle-grade divine tool. This is a very high reward. Low-grade divine tools are very rare, so a middle-grade divine tool is even more enviable. The Empress will avenge you? Sung Ming sneered. Unfortunately, you won't have the chance to see it. Soon, your Empress will be captured. Her bloodline is one of the more concentrated ones, you can't miss it. At that time, your arrogant Empress will also become our food. TSK, I think it will taste delicious, right? Impossible. The Empress won't be captured by you two devils. The mermaid race girl shouted angrily. She won't admit to their words. You won't know that. Soon, you will become my meal. Sung Yun looked at her and sneered. I plan to eat you first. I like to eat those who are not afraid of death the most. I can listen to their screams and their heartbeats as I swallow them bit by bit. It's really delicious. Pervert. The mermaid race girl's face paled and her delicate body trembled slightly. Just thinking about it was terrifying. That's the effect. Continue to curse me. Sung Yun stretched out his hand and grabbed the mermaid race girl. He lifted her up and placed her on his head. When he opened his mouth, his sharp teeth glinted coldly. It will definitely be delicious. I like to eat the mermaid race, the Empress will definitely avenge me. Kill all of you devils, kill all of you. The mermaid race girl shouted loudly. Don't worry. She will accompany you soon. Just as he was about to let go, a cold light flashed from the side. Then, both of his arms were cut off and a pillar of blood spurted out. While he was in pain, the mermaid race girl fell to the ground. However, she did not fall into his mouth. Instead, she was carried over by a figure. Chapter 769. The sudden change startled both of them, especially Tsang Yun. His two arms were easily cut off and black blood sprayed out, causing steam to rise from where it landed. The ground was visibly corroded by the blood, which was enough to show how terrifying the corrosive power of this blood was. However, the corrosion soon stopped and at the same time, the two arms began to grow crazily and gradually began to restore their original appearance. This level of healing ability was simply unimaginable. However, an ordinary Saint King stage master did have the ability to heal a severed arm, but they wouldn't be able to recover as quickly as Tsang Yun. How did you get in here? Sung Ming and Sung Yun's faces were gloomy as they looked around. The door was still closed and hadn't opened. If Tsang Ming hadn't opened the door for Tsang Yun, he wouldn't have been able to enter at all. Only by smashing the door for 10 days or half a month would he be able to break in. Now that the door was intact and hadn't been opened, someone had already come in. It was really strange. Yi Tianyun had come in through teleportation, so of course, no one would be able to notice him. He could easily come in, any barrier was nothing to him. For other masters who could use space teleportation, they would definitely be envious to the point of vomiting blood. They wouldn't be able to teleport in because they would definitely be blocked by the divine runes on the door. This was a divine skill, so how could it be so easily blocked? The mermaid girl in Yi Tianyun's arms was dumbfounded. She thought she was going to die, but suddenly a human had rushed in and saved her. Although she hated humans, at this moment, her heart was filled with gratitude. If someone could save her, she wouldn't have any problem giving herself to them. However, Yi Tianyun pushed her to the side and slowly landed on the ground. Holding the evil spirit divine sword in his hand, he said indifferently, "You don't need to know how I came in, dead people don't need to know too much. Go." Sung Ming and Sung Yun didn't say a word. They had already finished gathering their strength, and in the next moment, two thick arms quickly emerged from Sung Ming's back. His originally kind face immediately turned into a ferocious demon. At the same time, Yang Kai's body also grew several times in size, transforming into a giant. At the same time, the power of a Saint King stage 7th layer Saint King stage burst out. It was the same for Tsang Yun. His severed arm did not regrow immediately, but it did not stop him from growing bigger and turning into a four-armed giant. After becoming bigger, the arm's recovery speed became even more astonishing. In the next moment, Tsang Yun formed a seal with his hands, and the entire hall shone with dazzling light. The divine rune formation was activated, and countless sharp swords formed from spiritual energy emerged from the surroundings, forming a large circle. Every single one of them was extraordinarily powerful, and they were all comparable to the attack of a primary stage Saint King. Tsang Yun was the ruler of this place, so it was not surprising that he could control the formation here. Although he only controlled the 7th and 8th floors, it was enough for him. "I don't know how you snuck in, but the result of breaking in is death." Tsang Yun was furious. He hadn't expected that his arm would be chopped off in a moment of carelessness. How could he swallow this insult? To be able to sneak in without anyone noticing, this person's cultivation is definitely not simple. Quickly kill him. Sung Ming's eyes were filled with caution. He suspected that Yi Tianyun had snuck in, and this kind of concealment technique that even he couldn't detect meant that his cultivation was definitely not weak. However, he did not make a move. In his opinion, since Tsang Yun was in control of the formation, everything was already set in stone. "I'm not in a hurry to kill him. I'm going to eat him up one bite at a time. The higher his cultivation, the better it will be for me." Tsang Yun laughed cruelly. "Do you think that you've succeeded just because you snuck in? Since you've entered my territory, you should just obediently wait for your death, foolish human." He stretched out his hand and pointed gently. Countless sharp swords pierced towards Yi Tianyun from all directions. If he couldn't block them, they would turn him into a sieve. The young mermaid's face was pale. She wanted to help, but she couldn't. As for the heavenly demon tribe, they had already curled up into a ball and were hiding, not daring to move. Under the watchful eyes of the two powerful cultivators, countless sharp swords pierced through the air. Yi Tianyun stood motionless, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. "Don't!" The young mermaid screamed and covered her eyes. She was a little sad. She didn't know Yi Tianyun, but he had saved her, so she sympathized with him. What's going on?" Sang Yun and the others were shocked. The young mermaid slowly opened her palm. What came into view were countless sharp swords that stopped less than half a meter in front of Yi Tianyun. They couldn't go any further. "Your territory. Who told you that this is your territory? When I stand here, this is my territory." Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and pointed. In an instant, the surrounding sharp swords turned around and pointed towards them. You are the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king." "No, that's not right. You are the successor of the heaven-creating divine king. Sang Yun and the others screamed, but it was too late. Countless sharp swords pierced through the air and hit their bodies, causing terrifying explosions. In an instant, a dazzling light bloomed in the hall, so dazzling that people couldn't open their eyes. The young mermaid and the heavenly monster tribesmen were dragged to the side, so this attack didn't affect them. After the explosion, the two evil spirit race powerhouses came into view again. There was not a single piece of flesh on their bodies that was intact. Sang Yun's leg was blown off. He hadn't recovered from his previous injuries, so it was naturally a little difficult for him to resist. Sang Ming wasn't much better. His body was full of potholes, and his condition was quite serious. With so many crazy swords, the most they could achieve was the strength of a Saint King stage first layer cultivator. However, there were too many of them, and they couldn't block so many of them. Even divine tools were brought out, but it was useless. How could the great array arranged by the heaven-creating divine king be so easy to deal with? However, everything was under Yi Tianyun's control. The moment he came in, he immediately communicated with the phantom and forcibly seized control of this place. It was undeniable that Sang Yun had the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king's descendant, but he was a pure descendant, so he definitely had priority over the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king. Since the descendant was a disciple of the heaven-creating divine king, he definitely had priority over the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king. If you answer correctly, I can reward you with a good death. Yi Tianyun held the evil spirit divine sword and looked at them coldly. He sneered and said, "Also, I will kill all the Scarlet Demon clan members here, and the rest of you. I want all of you to disappear from this world. You are simply polluting the environment of the three realms." Chapter 770. The eyes of the two evil spirit race powerhouses were filled with horror. Their cultivation wasn't low, but they were in the core area now. The power of the core area far exceeded the power of the other areas, so the power of the attack was quite terrifying. This was just the initial attack, and they could still use more power to attack. It can be said that if they lost control, they would definitely die. Even if the controller was many times weaker than them, only at Void Spirit stage. Once they gained control, even Saint King stage powerhouses would definitely die here. After all, there was a power that could restrain them, and that was the ultimate light attribute power that could easily penetrate their defenses. After destroying their bodies, it would be very difficult to recover. Now that there were gates blocking their escape route, and they lost control, wouldn't that mean that they could only wait for death? Human, don't be impulsive. Everything can be discussed. I can help you become the absolute king of the mortal world. You can sit on any great emperor's throne. And that heavenly cloud's empire, I can let you replace it and become the strongest great emperor. Sang Ming shouted in horror. They didn't want to die, and they wanted to try to use the greed of the human race. The water dragon great emperor was ambitious, but he didn't have enough power, so he could only turn to the evil spirit race for help. The heavenly clouds empire's great emperor. Yi Tianyun laughed. Yes, yes. As long as you are willing to let us go and join us, you can become the strongest great emperor in the mortal world. We can't leave the sea, so don't worry about us interfering with you. Sang Ming said hurriedly. Do you know who I am? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. Yes, who are you? They don't know who Yi Tianyun is, but he's already pissed them off. The heavenly cloud's great emperor. As soon as he said that, Yi Tianyun slashed his sword, and the evil spirit soul opened its huge mouth to devour them, and in the blink of an eye, it was already in front of them. When they reacted, the attack was already in front of them, and they hurriedly dodged to the side. Sang Ming could still dodge, but Sang Yun was seriously injured, so he couldn't dodge quickly. With a miserable shriek, he was devoured by the evil spirit soul. This evil spirit soul looked similar to them, but in the end, it was devoured by their own power. It was really ironic. Sung-Ming had barely managed to dodge the attack, but half of his body had been bitten off by the evil spirit's soul and half of his body was gone. Ding! Successfully killed Sung-Yun. Reward, 3 billion EXP, 350,000 crazy point, 13,000 SPS, obtained, soul of an evil spirit, rare, bloodline of an evil spirit, rare, bone of an evil spirit, rare, 50x experience card, 1 million experience pills. There were quite a lot of items that dropped, but there were no weapons. Overall, it was better than before. The 3,000 points of prestige that he had obtained previously must have increased the effect. After Sung-Yun was devoured by the evil spirit, he was devoured until nothing was left. He was killed without the slightest bit of mercy. If he stayed, he wouldn't be able to get anything out of him, so he might as well just kill him. After losing half of his body, Sung-Ming fell directly to the ground, and blood kept spurting out. Although the bleeding had stopped, his heart was still full of fear. They couldn't even block a single sword strike, and this wasn't even relying on the power of Heaven Ascending Divine Altar, but relying on their own power to suppress themselves. Aren't you being suppressed? Sung-Ming shouted in horror. Aren't you a little forgetful? I told you before that I am the successor of the heaven-creating Divine King. Do you think I will be suppressed by the power here? Tianyun sneered. No wonder, no wonder. So you are the Heavenly Cloud's great emperor. No wonder you can become the strongest great emperor and the successor of the heaven-creating Divine King. Ha ha ha. Sung-Ming laughed, thinking that everything was so ridiculous, but he wasn't laughing at Tianyun, he was laughing at himself. He didn't expect that the Heavenly Cloud's great emperor that he had painstakingly tried to kill was the young man in front of him. The key was that he was the successor of the heaven-creating Divine King. Have you said your last words? Tianyun walked in front of him step by step. Do you think you have a good chance of winning? Do you think you can kill us? You don't know how much power we have in the three realms, and you don't know anything about the outside world. You are just a group of people struggling at death's door. Sooner or later, the three realms will be devoured by us. Sung-Ming's eyes were cold, and he didn't look like he was begging for mercy before. Before, they were just pretending to deceive Tianyun so that they would be easily fooled. In their hearts, there was no fear of death, only endless greed and anger. They wanted to destroy the descendants of the heaven-creating Divine King and devour all the lives in the three realms to become their fertilizer. Why are you so obsessed with the three realms? Is there no other life outside? Tianyun's eyes were cold. Hee, you are too naive to ask this question. Because the three realms is weak, idiot. Sung-Ming said sarcastically, thinking that everything was so ridiculous. Puchi. Tianyun slashed down with his sword and cut Sung-Ming in half, but Sung-Ming didn't die from the blow. It is true that the three realms is weak, but you can rest assured that I will kill as many as you come. After I break through to the God King realm, I will personally go to your evil spirit race's territory and wipe you all out. Tianyun's eyes were cold, he was not afraid at all. The three realms was weak. Tianyun didn't need Sung-Ming to say this, he already knew that. If the three realms was strong, the evil spirit race wouldn't have dared to invade them. Sung-Ming's eyes were still cold and full of disdain, he felt that Tianyun was overestimating himself. Yes, I am. Tianyun said indifferently, those who offend the three realms will be killed no matter how far they are. As soon as Tianyun said that, he didn't wait for Sung-Ming to say anything and stabbed him with his sword. Ding! Successfully killed Sung-Ming. Reward, 5 billion EXP, 380. 000 CPS, 150. 000 SPS. Reward, Evil Spirit Soul, rare, Evil Spirit Bloodline, rare, Evil Spirit Bone, rare. Reward, Evil Spirit Divine Sword, low-grade Divine Tool, Evil Spirit Divine Armor, low-grade Divine Tool, Evil Spirit Boots, low-grade Divine Tool. After killing him, Tianyun got a whole set of divine tool. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.